an accident.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm gonna call an advocate and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do, or...?
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day! And look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, the Monty Show. Live on your YouTube machine, Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. As always, there's drama in college football. The Ohio State, we have the inside goods on the Jim Knowles process. Is Ohio State broke? Did the lack of revenue at Ohio State this year, I say lack of revenue, did the budget deficit at Ohio State force Ryan Day to let Jim Knowles go? Absolutely not. We'll talk about all that. What role did Notre Dame Football play in Ohio State losing Jim Knowles? Anybody? I'm worried about Jerry Jones. Can somebody please, and I don't want it to be awkward, can somebody please go and knock on his door and do a wellness check?
Smiles and glory holes.
I'm concerned about Jerry Jones. Wait until you hear this, dude. Like, we've done some stuff on this show.
What are we supposed to do with that?
Yeah, we've done some stuff on this show with Jarrah. This is an all-time low or high? Well, for us, it's a high.
There's a new high water mark, no question about it.
There is no doubt that whatever Jarrah is smoking in Dallas is simply remarkable.
And I'm a vampire feeding off mass disappointment.
I don't know how else to describe the awesomeness that is the Jerry Jones press conference yesterday. I mean,
dude is almost crying during this press conference, and Dak is laughing about it.
Now, to tell you how miserable my life is, my wife says to me the other day, "Hey, Marty, honey, we need to get iodine in our salt and stuff." Because I'm on a sea salt bender. Like, listen, Pete, I'm on a sea salt bender never seen before. Like, nobody does sea salt the way old Uncle Monty does sea salt.
Right.
And my wife is sitting on my chest every night and pouring iodine down my throat because she's so concerned that I am on a sea salt bender not seen since Jerry went last to McDonald's, right? So I say that, but let's just play the Jerry uninhibited. I just want to start the show with Jerry Jones because I'm just uncomfortable with it, Jer.
Now, I get my proverbial ass kicked over needing people in my comfort zone. Without this thing being about me in any way, if you don't think I can't operate out of my comfort zone, you're so wrong. It's unbelievable. This is as big a risk as you could take. As big a risk as you could take. No head coaching experience. Now, let me share something with you. With all of that, you've just heard him reference his osmosis, his family. Anybody in this room that doesn't believe the apple doesn't go far from the tree has missed it someplace down the road, especially if there was an effort to make it that way, and there was an effort. But then you go around to the countless numbers of coaches that Shadi has served on staff with and been around, the countless players. How often do you have someone that has 25, I'm going to say 25, it may be 26, of years working through the human relationship and aspiring to learn, of have his ears and eyes wide open and looking for techniques and looking for things that make coaches better.
First of all, Dak laughed in your face. Second of all, his osmosis, you jackwagon. I don't care how water gets into the sewer. I want to. That's not what osmosis is. I want to win games, homeboy. I want the Dallas Cowboys to be good because the NFL is better when they are. I don't want to know about water treatment facilities with osmosis.
Hold on, bro.
And then I know that you and Bob Kraft are competitors, but that you went full rub and tug joint with this comment is amazing.
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes. Very low percentage.
What are we supposed to do with that, bro?
What is, Jerry?
Dude.
Smiles and glory holes.
Smiles and glory holes.
What? Like, where do you come up with this? And I'm thankful that you are senile out of your ever-loving mind. Because dropping glory hole bombs on a Tuesday morning
and glory holes.
It's the only way I want to live my life.
Right.
Right? This is what's wrong with the Dallas Cowboys. When you ask yourself, hey, Monty, what's wrong with the Dallas Cowboys?
A very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes.
There's your answer. There is your answer. Get more iodine in your salt. As I said, Mrs. Monty pours iodine down my throat. But you got to get smiles and glory holes after the iodine.
Genus.
Right? Like, why, Jerry? This is the same guy who sat up on Hard Knocks pouring salt onto a McGriddle.
While he's on speakerphone.
Talking about euthanizing mosquitoes.
Yeah, circumcising skaters.
Let me euthanize his circumcised skater.
But then I love the idea that Jerry Jones in the press conference is legit damn near crying while he's talking about this. Like, it's almost as if,
dude,
because Jerry goes, well, without making this about me, as soon as someone says that, they're going to make it about themselves, of course, right? So without making it about me, let's go ahead and talk about how I got out of my comfort zone and took a huge risk, as if you want us to reward you for that behavior.
Jerry, what are you doing for 4th of July, boy?
Smiles and glory holes.
All day long. Like, where does that drop not work? Oh, man, I had a rough weekend, boy. Let me tell you, I headed out to Vegas, and what I found there.
Smiles and glory holes.
That'll change your life, boy. Like, it just does. It's just how we had to start the show. Because if I can delay talking about how broke Ohio State is, I would like to do that.
But seriously, at what point does Jerry Jones like not want to be the center of attention? Because that's all this was yesterday.
Never. And I love that the fact that Dak Prescott laughed at him. You can't tell me that. And I want to play it one more time.
And credit to the production staff for cutting to Dak, number one.
Look at Dak. Jerry Jones is as serious as he can. He's coming from the heart. Jesus Christ empowered me to speak these words. And Dak laughed in your face.
Now I get my proverbial ass kicked over needing people in my comfort zone.
Look at how emotionally, look at the eyes, the dead eyes.
Without this thing being about me in any way, if you don't think I can operate out of my comfort zone, you're so wrong. It's unbelievable. This is as big.
And don't you love that Dak was in a 3-piece suit? No, he was in a sweatshirt and a hat, a trucker hat at that. Right? Like, nobody respects Jerry Jones.
It's a show, dude.
We are at the point where he's like, this isn't about me. Yeah,
Smiles
it is.
And glory holes.
Yeah, then why? Yes, it is about you.
And I'm a vampire feeding off mass disappointment.
Dude, when you're dead, I hate to say that, but when you're not the guy in this franchise, the Cowboys will win again. hiring Brian Schottenheimer, and this is really where the rubber meets the road. Hiring a guy that's been a career offensive coordinator, you sat up there and said it yourself, has no head coaching experience, even though he's got a legendary father and last name.
But he got out of his comfort zone,
Dude,
so it's supposed to be a good hire.
This is the wrong guy at the wrong time for the Dallas Cowboys. I know it was a Pier 6 brawl on this show. You should have hired Deion Sanders after you held on to Mike McCarthy, because remember that part of this whole malaise about glory holes. Mike McCarthy was out of contract. Right. He was a lame duck coach this year. The season ends. The Chicago Bears. The Bears want to interview him. You said no, Jerry. Jerry turned down the Chicago Bears' request to talk to Mike McCarthy. Less than a week later, they mutually agreed to part ways.
He's got no class.
Why would you do that? And then you not only were not able to get a top head coaching candidate, you never, by most reports, even had a serious conversation with Deion Sanders. And then you hire Brian Schottenheimer.
Excuse me, Shoddy.
Shoddy.
As he was referred to yesterday.
Thank you.
Shoddy.
But at least you could have tried Pete Carroll, who now is in Oakland, who moved to Las Vegas after playing games in Los Angeles for all those years. This doesn't even, and I would like to say, it's at least you're not Jacksonville.
Duval.
What the hell was that? What was that, Liam?
F around and find out.
At least,
Dude. Bro, how weird are you?
And again, I tell you, when people tell you who they are, believe them. Shad Khan does not know how to run a football organization. He does not. And if Duval doesn't show you that, I don't know what does. How, Liam? How? You
Smiles and glory holes.
That must be it. Are you out of your mind that you went full, like, look, first of all, look how awkward this guy is.
Duval.
Bro,
why is
so bad?
Why is your head shaped like that? First of all. Second of all, like, are you not Woody from Toy Story?
Duval.
Put a cowboy hat on that guy, and he's in a Disney movie. It is so weird to me. Crappy owners make crappy decisions that lead to crappy results. Whether you're the Bears, the Cowboys, the Jaguars. Now, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think he's lying through his teeth. But Woody Johnson, are you involved in the Aaron Rodgers decision?
Personal feeling about Aaron Rodgers returning.
I'm going to leave that to them. You know, they've got to take a look at how the team's composed and what they think they need and put all that together.
Woody, would you welcome Aaron Rodgers back if your coach and general manager would like to go that route?
Absolutely. Yeah, if they want him back, Aaron's a talent for sure. He's a Hall of Famer.
Will you voice your opinion on that, Woody, or is it really just on specific?
No, I'm not going to voice my opinion. Okay. No, that's up to them.
We're on the Cleveland.
We're on to Cincinnati. Yeah, we're focused on the Jets today.
That was very Belichickian. The first, and also the first answer. Tell me this is not right out of the Belichick play.
Personal feeling about Aaron Rodgers returning.
I'm going to leave that to them. You know, they've.
We're on the Cincinnati.
Yeah, we're really focused on Philadelphia right now.
But here's you want to talk about craziness? That's the exact right answer. I'm going to leave that up to them.
Yeah, we're not making any changes.
Aaron's a great talent. He's a Hall of Famer. If they want him back, that's up to them. Will you have a voice in that? No, that's up to the football.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
No, he said it just like he was Bill Belichick. But is it where are we in this world when Woody Johnson, who can't win at checkers, bro, is giving you the right answer? We've turned this thing so far upside down that the owner of the New York Jets is giving you the best answer. He's not awkward Liam.
Duval.
You're not glory you're not glory holes and whatever he said.
Dude.
Smiles and glory holes.
Woody Johnson got it right yesterday. Woody Johnson got it right. You'll hear from Aaron Glenn coming up in about an hour on the show about Aaron Rodgers. We need to have a conversation about it today. Is Aaron Rodgers the right guy? Should the New York Jets bring him back? Because I don't think it's a hard no. And I think it's actually a conversation that we really need to have. But just let it sink in that the New York Jets apparently had won the day yesterday when it came to weird, awkward press conferences.
Yeah.
Because I can't play this enough.
Duval.
Just put it on repeat.
Then, bro,
just
but
over
then
and over again.
To double down in the later in the day media session, to do that and to be that cringe, but then to double down on that and say that your organization and your team has to be about honesty.
Your belief system is about honesty.
Is about transparency and asking the hard questions.
Doing it the right way. Well, Liam, how can you say that after what you did to Tampa, dude?
That's really what this is going to come down to is honesty. I want to surround ourselves with people that are going to be able to tell you hard truths, be able to show you your blind spots, because that's really, like I mentioned, where growth occurs, when you can truly be yourself and be honest with looking in the mirror, knowing that that process to get you there was clean and it was right, and the results will speak for themselves.
Congratulations, but that's bullshit.
What? First of all, again, why is your head shaped that way? And what happened to your chin?
Dude.
Second of all, that's the biggest line of BS. Let me refresh your memories, friends. This dude withdrew his name because he hated the general manager in Jacksonville, a guy named Trent Baalke, who Shad Khan apparently wanted Woody from Toy Story so bad to be his head coach. He fired Trent Baalke to hire Liam Cohen, who not only withdrew his name from Jacksonville, then went back to Tampa, got a contract that is the largest contract ever offered to an offensive coordinator. But then Shad Jarrah Jones called him and was like, "Hey, bro, we're going to pay you really well.
Smiles and glory holes.
For all day long, we have a glory hole already cut out for you, Woody. Come to Jacksonville," to which he says, "Yes, as long as you fire Trent Baalke." Okay, done.
Pack everything up. We're out of here.
What?
And then you said that your organization is all about no men and not yes men and transparency and doing things the right way. Welcome to the NFL.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Welcome to the
Like,
NFL.
How? And I don't,
Wild.
the best part is, I don't even think Liam is understanding the look here. Like, I don't think that he's aware that, hey, you piped the Bucks to go to the Jags, and now you're out here preaching honesty about your organization.
Dude.
You're not honest yourself, bro. Like what?
But
Duval.
oh my God. And again, I just say,
my God,
the
dude.
New York
I mean,
Jets won the day
yesterday
yesterday.
might have been one of the most incredible days in the NFL offseason that I've ever seen. I mean, I know we still got to play the Super Bowl, but for everyone else, it's the offseason. That was one of the most incredible displays of, hey, we're not 99% of leagues not playing a game in 2 weeks, yet you're leading the news cycle because it's Jerry Jones and Liam Cohen
and glory holes.
And glory holes and like, dude, come on, bro.
Smiles and glory
Like,
holes.
what am I supposed to do with that, Jarrah? Like, circumcising skeeters is one thing, but you start going down the glory hole path, and now we're having a different conversation.
Where are you in life that you screw up a McGriddle?
How do you mess up a McGriddle? Like, what?
How? Okay. The Monty Show is always presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business. Do you understand that the insurance company's not on your side? You need somebody who's been down this road, who will fight your insurance company for you. Yeah, you've paid them all those premiums. You've never missed a payment. You've gotten hit in an accident that wasn't your fault, yet the insurance companies don't want to pay you. You need somebody who can leverage them, who can get you what you deserve and what you have coming to you. Let the advocates take the claims process. You focus on getting healthy, back to the best version of yourself. It all starts by going to theadvocates.com, where you can chat with an injury attorney 24/7, 365, and it won't cost you a dime at theadvocates.com. All right, we will get back to the NFL, because when I see guys like Giggity in the comments section, Liam isn't Woody, maybe Mr. Potato Head.
Well,
I'm here for it. I'm here for it, Giggity. By the way, Giggity, one of our fine servicemen, thank you for your service, my friend. Look forward to seeing you when you're back in Utah. Let's get to the Ohio State, because we have some exclusive behind-the-scenes reporting for you this morning. Did a lot of work yesterday. I know we have a lot of Ohio State fans that watch the show. I can only tell you that there is a certain awkwardness in Columbus this morning about how Jim Knowles left the Ohio State Buckeye program, how he ended up at Penn State. And I understand that the garden variety Ohio State fan is going to tell you that Ryan Day and Jim Knowles, the former defensive coordinator at Ohio State, Ryan Day, the current head coach, they don't like each other. They didn't get along. There was dysfunction. Nobody argues that. I talked to two sources yesterday who told me that, yes, Jim Knowles is not the easiest guy to work with, that he was very much a my way or the highway guy, and it caused friction in the meeting rooms with players and his assistant coaches. But let's get something very clear. Ryan Day had every intention of having Jim Knowles get a pay raise and remain as his defensive coordinator in Columbus into the future. There was no question about that. Things got awkward when Jim Knowles reportedly felt disrespected when he did not get a contract extension before the national championship game. And really, it started after their first round win against Tennessee, where their defense was absolutely lights out. There was no question about that. Jim Knowles and his representation went to Ohio State and began the process of negotiating a contract extension. I was told yesterday by sources close to the program that Ryan Day put a cap on that and said, we're not going to do this now. We are focused. There was awkwardness. There was frustration from Ryan Day to Jim Knowles that his representation at that moment in time, took the focus off of the football team and put it on himself and went to administration and started asking for a contract extension. Jim Knowles agreed, put all that on hold. Then as soon as the national championship game was final, they had won the college football playoff, Jim Knowles the next day went right back to, I need a contract extension and I need it now, because Oklahoma has called and would like to offer me $3 million to be their defensive coordinator. It only ratcheted up the frustration and the awkwardness from Ryan Day and, frankly, from Ohio State administration to Jim Knowles and his representation. It made them feel like Jim Knowles was out looking for a job, or maybe even, as it was described to me, looking for a way to leverage Ohio State for more money, because nobody really believed that Jim Knowles was going to take that OU job. When that conversation did not go well, Jim Knowles and his representation allegedly started shopping Jim Knowles to other open DC jobs. This is where Notre Dame comes in. Jim Knowles and his representation reached out to Notre Dame and said, hey, we would like to have a conversation about Jim potentially becoming your defensive coordinator. Of course, Notre Dame answered the phone. Of course, they were willing to have a conversation. I'm told that Marcus Freeman and Jim Knowles had one conversation. It lasted about 10 minutes. That was the full extent of it. There was never a contract offer from Notre Dame to Jim Knowles. I was told directly yesterday by sources on both sides that there was never a financial discussion had between Notre Dame and Jim Knowles. There was a cursory phone call between Marcus Freeman and Jim Knowles to gauge interest. That's where it began, and that's where it ended. However, Jim Knowles and his representation took that back to Ohio State and said, hey, look, now Notre Dame and Oklahoma are interested. That really turned things, I think, off completely for Ohio State. I think that's where Jim Knowles wound up walking out the door, because Penn State had legitimate interest in Jim Knowles. As soon as it was known that Jim was available, and as soon as Notre Dame had leaked, call it what you want, made it known that they had a conversation with Jim Knowles, that's where Penn State got very aggressive. The relationship between Notre Dame and Penn State is well known. They have a lot of players with connections. It was not difficult for that information to flow from South Bend to Happy Ending Valley. As soon as Penn State got word of that, they aggressively pursued Jim Knowles. They wanted to strengthen their ability to recruit in Pennsylvania, and specifically in and around Philadelphia, where Jim Knowles is from. He has deep ties. He has recruited well there. That's how Jim Knowles got to Penn State. It was never a thing where Ryan Day said, screw you, I hate you, we fought all season long, get the hell out of here. That never happened. This idea that Ryan Day hates Jim Knowles, that never happened. Because the fact of the matter is, after Jim Knowles let Ohio State know, hey, I'm going to Penn State, Ryan Day made a serious push to retain Jim Knowles after Knowles and his people let Ohio State know, we are under agreement verbally with Penn State. Ryan Day wanted to match that offer, at which point it was too late. He was too far down the road. I think the bridge was burned. I think Jim Knowles felt unwanted in Columbus and very wanted in Happy Ending Valley, all of which to say, Jake, this is a bad look for Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that you've allowed one of the best defensive coordinator talents in the country to leave the program, and everyone wants to focus on the logistics of that. Everyone wants to focus on that, the details of that, and that is very important for Ohio State's image. But the reality is what's taking place here is you went from being a program that doesn't win enough national championships to finally getting that job done to now losing a key piece of that operation. So I'm sitting here questioning, like, hey, you won a national championship, but you didn't beat Michigan, and now you've lost Jim. And so that's the hard part for me when I think about Ohio State, and I kind of consider like where they're at right now in the whole college football landscape. Like, are we supposed to sit here and believe that Ohio State's got a great shot at repeating or even getting back to the national championship game? Because I certainly don't. I think that now you're going to have to show me you can go out and get a defensive coordinator that's even in the neighborhood of how good Jim Knowles is at his job. I mean, there's a reason that it's basically Jim and Pete Kwiatkowski at Texas. Like, there's a reason that those two are in their own company. So for me, yeah, I think that it's not a great look for Ohio State that this is how the whole thing went down. But I think in the bigger conversation, Ohio State is at risk of essentially winning one national championship and not really pushing that ball forward. Like, if you're Ryan Day, obviously you wanted to win the national championship, and then you wanted to repeat that process, right? Maybe you don't win another natty back to back, but you're right back in that conversation again, versus maybe you're a one and done in the playoff, or maybe, I just have a hard time believing that defense is going to be as good as it was, because they were dominant. They in the scheme had a lot to do with it, but that's how teams become championship good. Elite scheme with elite talent typically leads to dominating football games. So I just think that Ohio State's now got to figure out how to move on from this. Like, at some point, you're going to have to figure out how to replace Jim and kind of put this story to bed for the program.
Well, I think there's also a couple of other things. You're Ohio State. You're going to be just fine. You're going to have your pick of really good defensive coordinators, but that might not be your biggest problem. And this desire by the Houston Texans to hire Chip Kelly, there is a belief that Chip Kelly is the leading candidate in Houston. We'll see if that comes to fruition, whatever that might be. If you lose Jim Knowles and Chip Kelly, now you're going to have a tough time bouncing back. But make no mistake about it. What Penn State did with Jim Knowles was an absolute coup, because that defense, while it was very good last year, they made some mistakes that you just can't make at the line of scrimmage. Jim Knowles is going to pick that up because he is a very detail-oriented guy. But maybe the biggest win in getting Jim Knowles is you kept Andy Kotelnicki. He didn't go to West Virginia, which is probably the shocker, right? And now you put those two together. Those two guys are the cure for what ails James Franklin. And I think when you look at Penn State, there is no question they are one of the most talented teams in the country. Talent has rarely been James Franklin's issue. Bad decision-making in the middle of a big situation has plagued Penn State. And you look at Jim Knowles and you look at Andy Kotelnicki and you look at the talent, you're bringing back two of the best running backs in the country, regardless what you think of Drew Aller, right? Because I think Drew Aller, this nonsense that Drew Aller's a day one draft pick in the NFL, stop. You're hallucinating. Drew Aller is never going to be a first-round pick unless he completely changes his ability as a quarterback and displays that on the field next year. If you put Drew Aller in this draft, as weak as it is for quarterbacks, he's not day one.
Right.
He simply is not. He got exposed in multiple ways against the best teams that he faced last year, including and Jim Knowles, who exposed him. You look at his poor performance against Notre Dame, but as poor as he has been, that offense is going to be pretty good next year. Better than it is this year. You look at their defense, they're losing talent, but their recruiting class and their returning talent on that Penn State defense, Jim Knowles is a better coordinator. He is going to improve that defense. Penn State got better. But I think one of the things that you really have to address here is what happened and how now do you bounce back? Because this story right here, this should not be overlooked. Ohio State in the 2023-24 fiscal year lost $36 million on athletics. A lot of that was ticket sales. Totally agree. You played, I think, 2 less home games.
You did. Yeah.
So you had less ticket sales, which meant, and this is probably too behind the scenes, but you get a lot of donations for ticket sales. When you have 2 less home games, you're getting a lot fewer donations and you're selling a lot less tickets. And I think that number was $17 million in a shortfall, because you also have to remember that game day revenue plays a significant part of the athletic budget at Ohio State. 2 less home games is not just ticket sales, friends. It is branding. It is advertising and marketing partners in game, because those contracts are written. A lot of those contracts are written of how many games am I getting for the exposure of my sign in your stadium? You lost a lot of money by having 2 less home games. And when you look at coaching compensation, a lot of that has to do with, are we profitable or are we not? And it's impossible to say it out loud. It feels almost like you're crazy. Ohio State football was not profitable in 2023-24. Now, did you run through the college football playoff? Did you make a ton of money? And did you make a ton of money for your conference? Absolutely. But that money is down the road. When we're talking about right now, and you're talking about paying a defensive coordinator $3+ million, that probably is a win for Ohio State. Not overpaying to keep Jim Knowles, I think that was probably a win. You lose Chip Kelly, and now you're going to be in a really even more difficult spot financially, because you're probably going to have to pay an offensive guy more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think this is panic mode. I don't think this is a bad time for Ohio State. I think it's a bad look. I think, frankly, Ryan Day thought that this was going to be a very short, less than 12-hour process to get an extension done with Jim Knowles, and it turned into a dumpster fire. And it blew up in his face, and I think he was, from what I understand, I think he was a little surprised that Jim Knowles was gone so quickly.
Yeah, well, I just think that Jim Knowles is well, first of all, I think as a coordinator, that as an elite coordinator on the market, you're always going to have availability, especially as a defensive coordinator in college football. That's number one. But number two, I think that, Jim, so if you think about the reporting on who Jim Knowles is and the things that you've just said, right? Like, hey, Jim is a my way or the highway guy. Jim
Very
is someone
much.
who maybe isn't the easiest to work with. So I think if you're, Jim Knowles, you're sitting here saying, okay, well, I've just won a championship. We obviously the offense was great, but I can easily sit here at a negotiating table and say, hey, I've just beaten 3 or 4 of the best teams in college football to win this championship. We didn't go down the Penn State path. We didn't have some cupcake to get to the national championship game. Like, I have a lot of leverage here to get something done. And it's a matter of getting paid. I never blame people for trying to get their market value.
Totally
right?
agree.
I understand like the only situation where I feel like, hey, it's a conversation to take less in order to get more is when you're a quarterback in the NFL, right? At some point, you're going to have to do what TB12 did, which was take less money so that the Patriots could go out and bring more talent in so that he had more options to throw to. That I understand, but excluding that, there's really no other situation where I would take less, and Jim didn't take less. And I think that, Ohio State is a program that really should be in the national championship every year. I do think this conversation, and this is for a different day, but the Big Ten versus SEC thing that is ongoing, what's the better conference, who's in the better spot? This situation at Ohio State plays right into that conversation, because if Ohio State is just going to be some one and done next year in the college football playoff or whatever, like if they're not a real factor in the national championship game, then I don't know how, if you're the Big Ten, you can seriously stake a claim to being the best conference at that point. You need, like, for the Big Ten to be successful, they need Ohio State to be in a 5-year window where they're just one of the most dominant teams in the country. Because that's what the SEC had in Alabama, and then they doubled down on that with Georgia, and then they tripled down on it with Texas. So that's why I say, like, this conversation isn't just about like how Ohio State fan views the program or how the media views the program or whatever. This is about, how much money can the conference make, and then how much money can Ohio State make, and then, how important is it to win football games? Because if you're going to continue, and they won't, right? I mean, there were a variety of factors that went into them being in a $37 million deficit, I believe it was.
Yep.
There were a variety of factors, that are all laid out there, ticket sales being one of them. But you can't continue to be in that level of deficit. You can't continue to have the financial volatility to that level. You need to be in a place where it's like, hey, every year our swing of like, hey, are we in a deficit or are we positive, needs to be like a $10 million conversation, not a damn near $40 million conversation.
Well, but I also think, let's not forget, 2 guys that are paramount here in this discussion about Ohio State: Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
You've got 2 of the best players in the country on each side of the football. Julian saying, I think there's no reason to believe that a kid that has been dominant every snap of the football he's ever taken in his life is not going to be that at Ohio State. You're going to replace Jim Knowles. Watch Chip Kelly. Does Chip Kelly, who I think it's important to say, and I said this on TikTok, and I know that a lot of Ohio State fans disagreed with me last night about this. If you don't follow me on TikTok, you really should. The Monty Show. MONTY, The Monty Show. Follow me on Insta Snapface Talk. If Chip Kelly leaves, and I'm not saying he's out recruiting. 3 recruits posted pictures of Chip Kelly quite literally standing at their front door. He's on the road recruiting for Ohio State. If the Houston Texans with CJ Stroud, an interesting tie to Ohio State, if the Houston Texans with CJ Stroud say, hey, here's X million dollars, come and be our offensive coordinator, how difficult is that going to be for Chip Kelly to turn down?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be tough.
That's going to be really tough.
And I think that, it's that conversation, like as far as Chip's concerned, it's the conversation that we always have with candidates in college and at the NFL level. Some guys are elite coordinators, not head coaches, and Chip is that. And I think he's proved that time and time again. And if I had to guess, again, just speculating, I would guess that Chip Kelly is pretty comfortable, with the idea that being one of the best offensive coordinators in college football or the NFL is what he should be doing, right? Like, he tried the head coach route. It didn't really work for him. Like, he's been down that road. I think that all he wants to do is be an offensive coordinator in a big time program and compete to win national championships or Super Bowls. So
I don't think he's going to Tampa.
Yeah.
I don't think Chip's going to Jacksonville, who has made an official request to talk to him. Yeah. I think D'Amico Ryans has something special working in Houston. I think Chip Kelly would have to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm Ryan Day, I am telling Chip Kelly, I don't care. I'll pay you whatever you need. You're my guy. We have got to have you. And I would do everything I could do to put his pen to paper on an extension that makes him, even if he's got to be the highest paid offensive coordinator in college football, I don't care.
But again, you're Ohio State. Like, you should be able to work with that.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, everyone wants to say they buy all their players. Like, I did a TikTok yesterday where I asked a question like, bro, like, everyone criticizes Ohio State for buying all their players, even though they didn't, right? They only brought in a handful of guys that were kind of cherry on top of the roster for the most part. But everyone always says, oh, well, they bought all their players, and that must be why they're in a financial deficit, and that must be why that's the situation. But that's not true, right? This doesn't have anything to do with Ohio State being irresponsible financially. It has everything to do with season to season. They're all different, right? Like, and that's something Ohio State can work on, in my opinion. I don't know why Ohio State's not playing 8 home games a year. I feel like they should be. I feel like they should be able to schedule that. But again, that's something that's something that they can work on. And I think that if you're willing to go out and be a juggernaut in the portal for just the top 1% of talent, because that's essentially what they did, you should be willing to pay Chip Kelly a pretty hefty number. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to, if Chip says, hey, I need 5 a year. Hey, I'm not going to be opposed to that, because the reality is yes, Jim Knowles had that defense working, but you don't get to where you are without the offense, bro. Like, the offense is, what took you places this year. Your ability to get Carnell Tate and Egbuka to take a step forward.
Will Howard.
But like, your ability to say, hey, Will, like, Jeremiah Smith is gonna be taken away by Texas. They're gonna run a 3-man zone concept to stop him, right?
Yep.
Linebackers guard in the middle of the field. Corners obviously playing tight man coverage, and they've got a safety over the top. So they're going to take him away. Let's go ahead and focus on these 2 other guys, and obviously Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, and we're going to be just fine. But Chip Kelly put that together. Pay the man.
And what I'm telling you is, and I don't know that we will know until it happens, but are you paying Mike Denbrock at Notre Dame, who makes $2.1 million? Are you paying Chip Kelly more than him? You better.
Yeah.
You better.
Yeah.
And are you paying a guy? Are you going to pay him the way that LSU pays Blake Baker, who I think is the highest paid OC or coordinator in football at $2.5 million?
But look at some of these numbers, right? $2.5 million for one of, if not the highest paid DC in college football, and Jim Knowles wanted $500,000 more, essentially.
And you said no.
And you said no. So that's the portion that I have trouble with, is like, I don't think that Ryan Day said, hey, like, I'm not willing to pay Jim. And this is what I said yesterday. Ryan Day didn't say I'm unwilling, or get the hell out of here. That's not what happened.
Jim Knowles, I think, would have gone back to Ohio State for, if he was making 1.9, I think he'd have gone back for less than $3 million. I think, and I feel like Penn State did what they needed to do to put his name on paper.
Yeah.
So less of us, more of you. Let's get into the comment section. And my God. Oh my God.
Dude is back.
Aaron Wilson, the single greatest Texas Tech fan on planet Earth, who we actually have. Texas Tech is a big part of the conversation this morning. But Aaron Wilson, good to see you, my guy. America's favorite mailman.
Yeah, how is delivery going, dude? I know that winter's been kind of an adventure here.
Especially, especially in Texas. Aaron, dude, it is so good to see you.
Yeah.
And if you're not a long time on this show, Aaron Wilson's a stud. Good to see you. All right. Jesse Crum, financial reports from July 23rd to June 24th. That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's what we said.
Yeah. Kim Coulter, good morning to you. Conundrum, Jerry selling roller dogs. He probably is.
Yeah, dude.
He probably is.
Yeah.
It is, Bailey Dietrich, got to be America's team. The Ohio State.
Dude.
Yeah. It's fine. The Thinker, I'm very close to the Ohio State program. Oh, really? I am related to someone on staff. Oh, my goodness. The reason I was told no left is that they would not let him run the Jack defense anymore. I would disagree with that. But, hey, somebody on staff, so I'm certain it must be true. Jimmy, Ohio State Buckeyes, 24-25 national. Are you sure about that? I love that when anything bad happens now at Ohio State. Oh, OHIO, national champions. You're going to find out very quickly. Like if I said to you, who are the 5 best teams in the Big Ten right now? No, if you put anybody ahead of Ohio State, you should have your skull checked. Penn State's going to be number 2. Who do you think is the 3rd best team
Oregon.
I think Oregon's 5th.
How the hell is Oregon 5th?
Because I think if you look at I think you have to have a healthy respect for what Oregon did not do in the playoff.
Uh-huh.
You're losing a lot of talent off that Oregon roster. A lot. I think you've got to put Michigan 3rd because of the recruiting, what we saw on the field. Now, who knows what happens over the summer with enforcement? But here today on January 28th, I'd have Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. I'd have Illinois 4th. I'd have Oregon 5th, and I'd have USC 6th.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think Sharon Moore is going to have to show me. Like, that's great you recruited. You're going to have to show me that you can actually go and do it.
Oh, I think he showed you last year.
I disagree with that. I think Ohio State played a terrible game. I think
it's not the Ohio State win.
Bro, they got dominated by Oregon last year.
It's not the Ohio State win. When you look at the development of the offense over the season, they got better. He just did not have a quarterback. Well, that issue, if they would have been able to throw the ball last year, I think there's a real chance they finished in a much better position. That could have been. Yeah, we'll see. It is what it is. The Thinker says Knowles cost Ohio State a lot of wins against Michigan. No, he did not. Jim Knowles didn't murder your dog. He didn't slap your child. He didn't disrespect your woman. Jim Knowles is either 1 or 1A of the best defensive coordinators in college football. So you can sit here and continue to try and vilify this guy, which a lot of Ohio State fans are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Knowles did nothing but win a national championship for you last year. I will continue to tell you, Jim Knowles not only put his guys in the place to make a play, then they went and made the play. So his guys are well coached, they're in the right spot, and they're mentally prepared to make plays. That's all coaches can do. And he did that across the board. I'll also remind you, Caleb Downs, look at how deep that defense was this year. They're going to put 7 guys in the NFL this year. You can try and disparage Jim Knowles all you want. And you can try and disparage his defense all you want. They didn't lose to Oregon because of the defense. They didn't lose to Michigan because of the defense. So, we can... Yeah. It is what it is. Eric Wasikowski, are we living in clown world and the Lions front office is actually competent? It must be. It must be. Chip Kelly to Houston and Jeff Grimes to the Jeff Grimes. I have respect for Jeff Grimes. He's not an elite offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Don B, it's not a bad look for Ohio State. He wanted to leave. No, he didn't want to leave. Jim Knowles asked repeatedly for an extension. This is very much an axiom that rings true in sports on a regular basis. When you allow somebody to go out and find out how much they're worth.
Gordon Hayward.
Great example. When you say to somebody, yeah, we're gonna work this out eventually.
We'll test the market, like
go ahead. Talk to OU, talk to Notre Dame. Didn't think he'd go talk to Penn State, did you? Until they did. It wanted him to leave. You can't change the adult's mind. It's not next man up, and under no way, shape, or form did Ryan Day want Jim Knowles to leave.
Yeah.
Dude,
there's not another Jim Knowles just laying around.
There's not this next man up. There's not. Is Ohio State going to be fine? Yes. Are they going to be as good as they were this year on defense? Absolutely not.
Yeah, the next man up thing when it comes to elite defensive coordinators is an excuse for what happened, in my opinion.
Come on. Brad Smith, Penn State still have no wide. Why? Okay, so you think Penn State is untalented? Yeah. Write them off. They're not. I mean, never mind they have the two best running backs in the Big Ten, and never mind that they just got better defensively, and they have the offensive coordinator who was up for just about every open job this year. They're untalented. They don't recruit. You might want to go check the portal in the recruiting grades. Don B, Penn State's offense is trash. Terrible. I mean, I have no idea how they're going to.
And again, you're focused on last year, bro. Last year's over with, man.
Yeah, it is.
What does that have to do with this coming year?
Henry, Ohio State will be fine, even if you clowns here think the sky is falling in on us. We have a secret weapon against Pedo State. It's called James Franklin. Nobody said the sky was falling in on you. Why is Ohio State fan taking up arms and
showing your true colors,
coming in and attacking people?
Yeah.
Nobody said the sky was falling. Did I not just say 10 minutes ago, you're going to be fine. You're going to get a really good defensive coordinator. Financially, you're going to be fine because you just won the college football playoff. You had a full complement of home games.
Yeah.
You're going to sell merchandise like there's, no other merchandise available because you won the national championship. Your ad and, revenue partner just grew. And yet here you are saying that you clowns in the sky, be better. Be better. He's leaving for Pedo State was known as Operation. Maybe. I'll never say it on this show. Did you buy her Dogecoin? Jeez, what a mess.
Ooh.
Knowles is a crybaby.
Oh.
Buckeyes will always be in the hunt. Haters know that. You mean N-O-W?
Don't talk crap about my team.
Haters know that. N-O.
Nice, dude. Nice.
We only had 5 transfers that really contributed. We raised NIL for retention purposes. You only had 5. Okay. First of all, I think we've talked repeatedly on this show that Ohio State did, in fact, buy a championship. Who cares if they bought a championship? Because that's what everybody's trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion's always been that you didn't buy your whole roster, but what you did is you finished the roster off with some really key additions, and they deserve credit for that. They're playing the same game you are. They're just playing it better.
It's wild to me that we're still having to talk about, well, you guys bought a championship. Yeah, why didn't you?
Yeah.
Why didn't you?
Yeah.
That's what revenue sharing and all of this other money and
come on, dude.
That's what the college football championships are built on now. And anybody telling you that we did it with homegrown players, well, then did you not pay them? Because everybody's roster is paid. Every single player in college football is bought and paid for. So the idea that buying a championship, get out of here. What are you doing? Kale, thank you. Gay hot. Exactly right. Go Eagles. Jesse Crum. Some people complaining about these spending big money for players are the same ones who complain about the Yankees outspending everyone. It might piss you off, but it's allowed. Yeah. Ohio State did nothing wrong. Laura Sims. Ohio State is always going to be one of the top teams in the country and get into the playoff, but it can't just be us. Other teams in their conference need to help out too. The financial model in college football, especially, you need every school in your conference to be competitive. We talk about it in the Big 12 all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Well, I think it's why Illinois is so important right now. I mean, the rise of Illinois, I think, Matt
USC
Rule,
is critical.
Matt Rule needs to get it going. Lincoln's got to get it going. Again, and this is really the difference, and we'll get to this, but the difference is that the Big Ten at the top of their league is competing and winning national championships with, regularity at this point. And the Big 12 and the ACC are not doing that. And yes, I do think there is a really compelling conversation around the Big 12 being a deeper conference top to bottom than the Big 10. The problem is the top end of the Big 12 is not nearly good enough to compete with the Big 10.
And I think the other part of this conversation about Ohio State is we're talking about paying players. You've got to pay coaches.
Yeah.
And I think, because what is Chip Kelly making? I think $2 million base. He got another $1 million in a bonus.
Yeah.
You're going to have to bring that $2 million base up. You might not want to. You have no choice.
Yep.
And Ohio State's tactics in their contracts for coaches, Ryan Day, hey, we're going to pay you a small base, and when you win, we're going to pay you huge bonuses.
Yeah, and I do think that college football inevitably is heading down this path of you're going to go through. I mean, again, it's much like pro sports. It's much like what the Dodgers are doing right now, where everyone says, oh, well, the Dodgers are just buying all these players and getting all the Japanese players, and yada, yada. Okay, well, yeah, they are, but they're deferring a ton of that money, and eventually that's going to come back to get them to the point where they're going to have to be bad for a few years, but that's not now.
And the problem with that is Roki Sasaki, the hot young Japanese pitcher that just signed, could have signed with any team in Major League Baseball. Where did he sign? With the LA Dodgers. Why did he sign there? Well, Monty, they got the gambler there. Yeah. Why did they get the gambler there? Because they win. They spend money. They do what's got to be done. Ohio State, the same. And they don't get caught in major cheating scandals. It's what I've said about Notre Dame. Notre Dame was never paying Jim Knowles $3 million plus to come and be their defensive coordinator.
Nope.
How much you want to bet Chip Kelly gets a pay raise? How much you want to bet that, or he's going to go to the Titans or the Texans? Excuse me. Chip gets paid well. Works the offense, which he loves, but with half that responsibility and headaches of being a head coach.
Yeah.
I agree.
But that's kind of my point. Is he tried the head coach thing and it just didn't work for him. And I think that's why he settled in.
Yeah, and I think everybody wants to be a naysayer about Ohio State. And again, I don't understand why Ohio State fan is so over the top aggressive. I don't get it.
Yeah.
You just won a national championship. What I'm telling you is Ohio State's going to be fine. But if you're sitting here this morning as a Bucs fan thinking that, well, we're just going to repeat, I would be very careful with that complacency. Because while you might think that, all the nonsense people are making up about Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles wanted to be in Columbus. Ryan Day at the end tried to keep him. Ohio State didn't do enough to keep Jim Knowles as their defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to break it to you. He wanted to be there, and they didn't do enough to keep him. And he wound up going to one of your biggest rivals in the league, Penn State. And the more significant part of the Jim Knowles conversation is whether you liked his defense or not, he built that defense. Whether you like Jim Knowles or not, he recruits exceptionally well. Is he a lifer at Penn State? Probably not. There's a burnout factor with Jim. But make no mistake about it, that dude can recruit. He develops talent, and he wins games.
Yeah.
And he's been really good everywhere he's been. So, the Chad Carter. You can say all day long that the Big 12 is deeper top to bottom than the Big 10 if someone wants to. But as long as the 12 isn't putting in multiple teams in the playoff, who cares?
And I don't disagree with that, dude. I think that's facts.
And I don't care if BYU got hosed it doesn't matter. The funny thing is, when we talk about conferences struggling, everybody's overlooking what I've been trying to tell you for 2 years. The ACC is not nearly the basketball league everybody's making them out to be.
Mm-hmm.
They got 2 teams into the college football playoff and got humiliated. How do I say this tactfully? You made the same money as the Big 12, who was $30+ million behind the Big 10. Congratulations. You're both poverty conferences.
Facts.
You're both poverty conferences. And we can say that this is a money game. We play, I hate to tell you this out loud, we play college football to win money. That's what it's about. And the Big 10 is winning more money than everybody else. And if you think that SEC basketball isn't unbelievable, you're not paying attention. Anybody see what Julian Love did for Arizona last night? Maybe the best game he's ever played as a Wildcat. You think Big 12 basketball is not a significant revenue generator and a critical piece of revenue? And then you go look at the SEC. Who's the third best conference in the country right now? The ACC. And that's a fight, by the way.
Yeah.
It's no doubt the Big 12 and the SEC are the 2 best basketball conferences in the country. And you look at what Cooper Flagg, I watched most of Cooper Flagg last night. That was one of the best performances I've seen this year. And Duke is Duke. But the ACC is struggling, something mighty.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tough to turn that around. It is going to be tough to turn that around. So, Egan, not one person can explain how Ohio State bought a title. Who cares? Ohio State fan, will you just bask in the glory of your championship and just relish in the fact that you know that you're going to have a really good defensive coordinator and you're going to have a pretty good defense next year? And are you going to develop players at the level? I don't know that anybody thought that Caleb Downs could improve that much, or that good old number 33 coming off the end would terrorize Quinn Ewers. I don't think anybody saw the development of players like that at that level, the JTTs of the world. And but if you're stop vilifying Jim Knowles and just say thank you. Because the guy is arguably one of the most important figures in how you won a national championship in football this year. And this idea that you guys want to keep burying him, I will never understand.
Well, you want to keep burying him, and then you want to say things like
he doesn't recruit. So he gets no credit for Caleb Downs. No. Come on. What was the number one reason Penn State was willing to overpay him to get him? Because they overpaid him, right? The guy was making what? Less than 1.9?
Yeah, it was 1.9.
You paid him
3.3 on an annual average.
Paid him $9 million.
Yeah.
You overpaid him. Why did you overpay him? Because he recruits in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. And Penn State does not recruit in Philadelphia very well at all, has always struggled there. Well, that struggle's over. And again, you're going to say, well, nobody comes out of it. Go look. And if you, as a Penn State fan, if you are not elated this morning, and as an Ohio State fan, if it's not a little concerning to you that Penn State just got significantly better in the state of Pennsylvania, and again, time will tell. Jay, Monty, if you could be head coach anywhere in the NCAA, where are you going? I'm never going to be a head coach. I have no desire to do it. I would never, ever, ever want to be a head coach. It's what Mike Smith said about Chip Kelly. Pay me millions of dollars to be a coordinator. I am never going to be a head coach. Yeah. Not in a million years. Not doing it. If I could be an offensive coordinator, I'd probably want to be a defensive coordinator. I love good defensive football. To be the Chicago Bears. If I have to do college football, I want to win. And you're going to say, well, you're going to say
Notre Dame, our mother.
Notre Dame doesn't win. Notre Dame's not willing to do what you have to do to win. They're not. So if I want to win, because all I care about is winning, I have a horrible competition problem. I am so overly competitive. As certain people will tell you.
F around and find out.
I am so overly competitive. I'd want to go to Georgia, Bama. I'd want to go to Ohio State because I know that I'm gonna be competing for championships. I'd want to go, like, again, in the SEC. You want the Alabama job or you want the Ole Miss job? Well, I'm going to Alabama because those folks want to win, and that's all they care about. That's all they care about.
Yeah.
But I have no desire to be a head coach, none whatsoever. Jay Ross, do we have any other leads for Notre Dame defensive coordinator outside of the guy from Rutgers? Well, you know what I would tell you is, here's a question for you. Should Notre Dame do the stupid role like, I don't know, Oak State? Well, we got to have a guy with ties to Oak State. Is that what Notre Dame should do?
No.
I don't think they should.
No, hell no. I think Notre Dame is the football program is a program that is just like any other football program, man. You need to get the best guys in there. Like I've never understood the, oh, well, if you don't understand going to church every day, you can't coach at Notre Dame. Like, what do you mean, dude? Like,
Chris Ash is who you're referencing. But I look at just looking at who I would guess. I think Chris Ash probably is your number one. Him and Marcus have a relationship. And I think if I'm Marcus Freeman, I want a guy that I know. But replacing Al Golden is going to be really tough because you want to talk about a university that's going to have a fall off.
Mm-hmm.
I think Notre Dame is in for a very difficult season
Monty,
ahead.
it's Marcus Freeman, though. Come on.
I understand. I get it. And it is. I want to feel good about it. And I want to be excited about Notre Dame football. I'm not.
Yeah.
And I'm not mainly because when you look at the attrition on that coaching staff, Marcus Freeman has very little leadership experience outside of the guys that were surrounding him. And Chris Ash is okay. Failure as a head coach, no doubt about it. He's, 50-something? Young 50s? Okay. Does that excite anybody? Jim
really.
Knowles was not the right guy for Notre Dame.
No.
You're not paying your defensive coordinator $3 million. We'll see. No one thinks that Egan can't just dismiss losing him to Penn State meaning nothing. If you do, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Who said Ohio State was going to repeat? Share whatever you're smoking. Next year in the Big Ten is going to be very interesting. It's going to be a much stronger league. It is going to be a much stronger league.
I don't think anybody said factually or like the expectation is to repeat next year, but the conversation every year should be, how can we win a national championship? That's the only bar at Ohio State. So like, what? Yeah, will they repeat? Probably not. No, but that's what you're trying to do every single year, and losing guys like Jim Knowles doesn't help that cause.
We'll see. We shall see. SEC Big Ten scheduling agreement meeting on February 19th. I don't think it's a scheduling agreement meeting. I think that certainly the Big Ten and the SEC are going to play more games against each other. We're already seeing that. I think that what you're going to see is, how are we going to do business? How are we going to change the college football playoff structure so we both get more teams in?
Yeah.
Because I think one of the egregious errors was putting Boise State in a bye and putting SMU in this tournament at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's an egregious miscarriage of justice. Not against Alabama, against
just the whole system.
The whole system.
The whole thing.
And I think it was a shot over the bow of the SEC, who did not get multiple teams in and who should have had 4 teams in. I mean, you look at, really, it was Georgia and Texas, right? But you look across the board, the Big Ten had a much better structure in the college football playoff than did the SEC. And when you look at the college football playoff bracket, I mean, you had Texas having to go through Clemson and Arizona State. Meanwhile, Penn State had to go through SMU, Boise State, and then ran into Notre Dame. And if they'd had a quarterback, they probably would have beat Notre Dame. And you'd have had an all Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
You think that
man, Ohio State, Penn State for a natty would have been incredible.
You think good old Greg Sankey was happy about that?
No.
No. Do you think that he's at all happy that Indiana and SMU and do you think he's at all happy about that? Do you think he's at all happy that Tennessee had to play Ohio State in round 1?
No.
You're out of your mind. What he wants is more access to the national championship game, the final, the college football playoff final.
Yeah.
And I understand that Georgia massively underperformed, right? But if you think he doesn't believe that Alabama and Ole Miss should have been in because, well, we're in the SEC and you're not, because I guarantee you Mr. Sankey thinks that Ole Miss and Alabama should have been in. And he doesn't care that you hate Alabama and Ole Miss and you're tired of it.
Right.
He couldn't give a rat's ass what you think. And I think that's what that meeting's about. How am I getting Alabama and SMU or Ole Miss in over SMU? I guarantee you that's what he's thinking. So, but hey, is what it is. Brad Smith, Penn State is almost always good on D. Almost always. Their issue is they have MAC level wide receivers.
Is it possible that they could ride the D?
I think their issue is when's the last time we had a truly elite offense at Penn State?
Saquon.
And again, I'm asking you, and I even got to go look it up. Who's the last elite Penn State quarterback? Who's the last guy? Who's the last guy that was like, my God? Wow.
Yeah,
Kerry
I
Collins.
Couldn't tell you.
I've got who is it? Todd Blackledge? You don't even know who that flip that is, right? But if you start thinking about recent day and you start saying to yourself, like, what about a guy like Michael Robinson, who wasn't an elite quarterback? Is he better than Drew Aller? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can go up and down the list. How could we forget about Darryl Clark? You don't even know who that is. Anyway, my point is, guys like Kerry Collins, Todd Blackledge.
Penn State is not a quarterback factory. Penn State puts out
linebackers and offensive linemen
and running backs.
That's who they put out.
Yeah.
And if you look at their best, if we're really being honest, in recent times, it's probably Sean Clifford. It's probably Sean Clifford. Trace McSorley, I guess, was a 10,000-yard passer, but can you believe that was 10 years ago? Trace McSorley at Penn State was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
How is that possible? How is that possible? I mean, listen, Drew Aller had 3,300 yards this year, but you want that guy trying to throw you past Ohio State, Notre Dame, the college football
clearly
playoff?
They don't.
Right? All I'm saying is that's not a university that's built on awesome. Yeah. Yes, Mike Smith. Kerry Collins comes to mind. Right? But Trace McSorley does not, which is crazy. Tito's the name. Okay. I'll cheer for Oregon this year. If my Buckeyes don't make the championship, I'd never cheer for Penn State. Nobody cheers for Penn State. Nobody cheers for Knuckles, Penn State. Old Sandusky, you. Todd Blackledge, exactly. Get Ole Miss and Bama to lose less games and they're in. But see, that's the problem. And I can only warn you about this for so long. Why did the beloved, our mother, Notre Dame, why did we give up all of our say and influence in the college football playoff? To guarantee ourselves a spot in. We're guaranteed if we're one of the 12 best teams in the country, according to the polls. Notre Dame's getting in. Who's going to stop them? Because The Big Ten and the SEC, if you think they are not going to continue to slant things in their favor, you're out your goddamn mind.
Yeah.
And do you really think that why should the SEC play 9, 10 conference games a year? Why would you? Strength of schedule doesn't mean anything. It means not. Honest to God, I'm asking you. You really think if you're the Big Ten and the SEC that you should play a more difficult schedule?
No.
No.
Hell
when
no.
you can keep BYU out, even though they beat SMU? Come on. You're not going to do that. Why would you do that? You're never going to do that. Still surprised Will Levis couldn't beat out Clifford at Penn State. Exactly. I don't know, man. It's fine. Lisa Sims. Well, too bad the SEC is going to have to accept that the Big Ten isn't going anywhere and it's going to be a big problem for them in the foreseeable future. But that's Lisa, they're not going to be a problem. They're going to be fantastic business partners.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to work together because Tony Petitti and Tony Sankey.
Hey, Tone.
Hey, Tone.
Yeah.
Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey control the college football playoff. They have the most influence in what have they asked for and not gotten. And I guarantee you, Tony Petitti and Mr. Skanky Face are going to go in there and they are going to say strength of schedule is going to matter. And why can they say that without making their schedules more difficult?
Because they're already the most difficult in the game.
Who's got the best strength of schedule? By far, it's not close. The SEC. But Monty, they're not the... Yeah, they are. I don't care if you hate them. But Monty, no but Monties. No but Monties. All right, let's talk Big 12 football because I think there's a couple of interesting points. Who will be the shocking team of the Big 12? In the framework of, hey, you're getting a knuckle deep from the Big 10 and the SEC, probably
Smiles and glory holes.
Probably too much. But my point is, who's the shocker this year in the Big 12? And we've had this conversation, and I'm going to continue to say this until it's not reality. The Big 12's biggest problem is the state of Texas isn't good at footballing in this league. And whether it is Spike Dykes' kid at TCU, Mr. Clean at Baylor, the high school coach at Texas Tech, the mullet at Oak State.
I'm a man.
Point to anybody in the state of Texas that you want. They're not good enough. They don't sell out to win. There's no expectation. I don't know, like Ohio State, that you're going to compete for a national championship year in and year out. There's no expectation of that in Waco, in Fort Worth. There's no expectation of that in Stillwater, Lubbock. How did you get beat by SMU? Because they went to the college football playoff. Joey, Dave, Sonny, Mullet. No, they didn't. The Big 12 continues to underperform and continues to be a one bid league because they don't have a blue blood. And the teams that are new in this league are running over the supposed stalwarts of this league. And it's why, exactly right, when we look at the 2025-2026 Big 12, is there any question that BYU on paper is the best team in this conference? And this is the part where I say, holy cow, Monty, get yourself a bag of tortillas. I'm a little nervous in saying that the high school coach in Lubbock has the most talented roster in the Big 12. What Joey McGuire's built through the portal and recruiting is nothing short of sensational. Now he's got to go out and prove that he can win. Because in my opinion, when we look at the top teams in this league for 2025 and 2026, I'm putting BYU at the top of the list. I don't know how you don't put the Fighting Dillinghams number 2. I'm putting Texas Tech number 3. Jake, am I crazy for doing so?
No, I don't think you're crazy for doing so. I think you're exactly right. I think you go and look at the additions. You can go up and down the list. You can read those names till you're blue in the face. But the reality is that he does have more talent coming into this football season than he did last year, which you would expect, right? I mean, obviously, as football coaches get into year 3 and year 4, you would fully expect that their recruiting cycles are taking full effect and they fully put their fingerprints on that program. So, now we're getting into territory with Joey and Texas Tech where it's like, hey, you're either going to start making it or you're going to start breaking it, meaning that there's no more excuses of, hey, this is my first year or maybe my second year. Like, no, now we're getting down the road here a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, I would have, I think that you have to have on paper, you have to have BYU as the most talented and the highest expectations in the Big 12, certainly. But the thing is I'm not just going to write off, ASU, certainly. I'm not going to, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, ASU is going to fall way off because Scadaboo's not there. Well, I'm not just going to write that off. I think Kenny Dillingham is one of the best recruiters in this conference. And I think he's young. He's got the right energy and he does it the right way. And so I think he's always going to have talent. And if he's got talent, he can coach. They're going to be in a perfectly fine position. So I would have BYU 1, ASU 2, and then I would have Tech at 3. I would agree with you. Is that's a good slot for them.
Listen, Levitt and Tyson are both returning to ASU. They have a kid named Jalen Moss coming in that I think is really important. But Kenny Dillingham is going to have to find a way to make sure, because you start looking at the percentages and you start looking at the volume that Cam Scadaboo ate up for Arizona State. Sam Levitt's going to have to step into that void. And he is going to have to be. You look at the quarterback rankings in this league, you see a lot of people saying that Sam Levitt's the number 1 quarterback in this league, to which I say, go to rehab because crack is incredibly addictive, because I have no idea what you're looking at.
Yeah, they're looking at the performance against Texas. That's what they're looking at.
Josh Hoover and Jake Retzloff are the 2 best quarterbacks in this league. Baron Morton is 3rd. Sam Levitt is at best 4th in this league. And he's going to have an incredible opportunity to prove me wrong. But when I look at the way that Hoover and Retzloff performed, the exponential leap in performance from Jake Retzloff, which I am not only good looking and intelligent, but I'm never wrong. We talked about it on this show. We warned you that Jake Retzloff was the real deal and how. And now he's going to be better this year than he was this past season that just ended.
Not having any type of quarterback competition this year.
And I will continue to tell you, Sam Levitt's got to show that he can be the dude. It's the Avery Johnson syndrome. Well, hey, Cam Scadaboo's gone. Now Sam Levitt's got to step up and be the number 1 producer on an offense. Oh, well, we don't want Will Howard. He sucks. Avery Johnson's a Heisman Trophy contender. How'd that work out?
My word.
Yeah, turns out he wasn't.
Nope.
And when I start looking at the best teams in this league, I think Joey McGuire's right there. I think when you look at K-State's very interesting. Can Dylan Edwards be a number 1 running back in an offense? He wasn't that when he was at Colorado, and they wanted. Now, Colorado doesn't have the offensive line when he was there. Was the bowl game an aberration? Or is that who Dylan Edwards is?
Yeah, I think that K-State's problem is going to be offensive balance. The thing is Avery's got to improve the passing game, and not just, to help him in his career, right? And his trajectory as he tries to go to the NFL at some point. But for his team to be successful and for guys like Edwards to become number 1 backs, you can't have a situation where the defense can put 9 guys in the box with regularity and not worry about you throwing over the top. That's just not and that's what we see. And this is my complaint about the Big 12, generally speaking. What we get out of the Big 12 is, hey, we're a one-dimensional offense. We do this one thing really well, and so we can't score points, right? Like we're K-State, we run the football really well. Sometimes it's our quarterback, sometimes it's Edwards and the running backs, and that's just what we are. And K-State fans are going to say, well, hold on. What about the Colorado game last year? What about this game? What about that instance? Yeah, sure. The kid can throw it in certain moments, but you're not sitting here as a defense saying, oh, man, we better watch out because Jeremiah Smith gets 1 shot down the field and the game's over. That's not how it works at K-State, man.
And if you saw the tape of Ohio State on the sideline going into that Jeremiah Smith play that we told you that we prognosticated would happen on the program.
Yes.
I can't remember who it was. One of the Ohio State guys, Egbuka,
yeah. It was Will Howard. And Will Howard was on the headset with Chip. Egbuka was sitting there next to him.
And they're looking at an iPad.
Yeah, and they're excuse me. It's a slate.
Sorry. They're looking at a piece of crap tablet, not an iPad. And Egbuka looks and says, there's the leverage. There's the leverage. We need to run.
29's playing inside leverage.
We need to run a go route against 29. And boy, did they. That's what Ohio State has. So anyway, my point is, I look in this league, in the Big 12, I think there's a lot of dudes that are coaching for their jobs. I think if you look at Kyle Whittingham, Mike Gundy, I think Dave Aranda, Joey McGuire. I mean, I think if Joey McGuire with this level of talent doesn't win the Big 12, if Joey McGuire wins 8 games, does he keep his job? Boy, I think that's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think that I don't know that the number matters as much as them just being relevant. Like, they weren't competitive last year. Like, you need to be like Texas Tech this coming year needs to be what Iowa State was last year, where you're in the conversation week in and week out, and you're in November and you're competing. You know, you're right in that mix of, like, you guys remember it was BYU, Iowa State, and K-State in the mix and then obviously ASU jumped into that picture, but it was like, hey, these are the top teams that are going to compete now for the last 3 weeks to win the conference. Tech needs to be in that conversation, I think, for it to feel good.
I think this is to win this league, you're going to have to win 8 conference games, and I think you're probably going to have to win probably minimum 10, 11 games. You're going to have one bobble, and it better be in September and not November. And I think, because I think this league, the influx of talent into the Big 12, the only team that I don't have a real grasp on is Rich Rod in West Virginia, because I think there's just so much turnover there, right? Like, there's just so much turnover.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, like, you know, does West Virginia keep those same shades of what they were, a ground and pound team? Or do we see a lot of change there philosophically? You know, because if there's a lot of change there philosophically, that could be another win on your schedule this season for, you know, the right team, obviously.
Yeah, I think Arizona is going to be bad. I am not a Scott Frost guy. I think the bounce house is not going to have a lot of bounce in it. I think Cincinnati is going to be remarkably better. That's a team that I could see winning 5-6 league games. Which would be significantly better. I think Oklahoma State is not a bowl team. I don't see them going to a bowl game. I think Houston is going to be significantly better.
Man, you really think he can't get 6 wins?
I do not. I think look at Oklahoma State's schedule.
Now, I'm not
look
saying,
at their talent.
I'm not saying it's an outlandish take. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, you know, what do we know about Mike? Like, we know Mike Gundy, over the course of his career at Oklahoma State, they're typically bowl game good. They're just not playoff good. They're not win the conference good. And this year, the problem is that you have all this turnover at the coordinator level of the program. And, you know, Oak State fan wants to tell you they've had a great portal. I disagree with that. I don't think you've had a great portal.
Nobody that is an observer who knows what the hell they're talking about would tell you that Oak State has improved their football team. They have not, in any position, in any group, on any coaching staff, are they better today than they were a year ago.
And then
not a single position.
And then you look at the schedule and you're like, damn.
Because when you look at they have a stretch of home games that will include Baylor, Houston, K-State, Iowa State, Cincinnati. All of those games are at home.
Bro, that's a lot of wins right there.
Or
should be a lot of wins.
But look at their other games. UT Martin.
Should be a win.
Right? That's your first game of the year.
Yeah.
Tulsa is your third game of the year. That should be, Tulsa's terrible. But look at Autzen Stadium on the road, September 6th.
That's a blowout loss.
At Arizona. You should win that game. Arizona, I think, is going to be one of the worst teams in this league.
Yeah.
Tetaroa McMillan covered up a lot of moles on that offense last year.
He's going to be playing on Sundays this year.
Right? He's gone. That offensive line's not improved. I think Arizona should be bad. You're going to be back in the booth at Kansas. You're not playing at Gay High anymore, Arrowhead. I'll always
Well,
say
Monty,
Jayhawks.
it's GEHA Field.
You're back at Memorial in Lawrence. You're going to lose that game to Kansas. Texas Tech, you got to go to Jones AT&T.
It's probably a loss.
You're going to lose
honestly.
that game. You got to go to UCF.
That's a win.
You should win that game.
Yeah, that's a win.
You should win that game. Even though I think Risk is going to be one of the breakout quarterbacks in this league, you should win that game. Only they won't. You should go undefeated at home. Only they won't. Because they're not more talented. They're not certainly going to be, they will not have the level of talent on defense will be significantly less in Lubbock or in Stillwater this year.
And I have to ask, you forced him to take a pay cut so that you could have more money in NIL, but you haven't really done anything.
I am really curious to see what will Utah be, because I can't put Utah in the top half of this league. Not with how lackluster the locker room was last year.
I think Utah will bounce back. I think Utah.
I do too.
My opinion is that this is the season that defines Witt's legacy in the Big 12. Now, I think Witt in the Pac-12 was a juggernaut. That was somebody who knew how to win in the Pac-12, had the travel situation really managed to have his team in a good position to go out and win ball games. And I just think in the Big 12, like, couldn't really ask for a worse start, right? Like, it just is what it is. That said, I think that Witt deserves the benefit of the doubt, I guess, is my point. You've had one bad season out of the last 10. Like, you deserve the benefit of the doubt, especially after what you've done in the offseason. We've gone over it a bunch. I do think that they are, if his defense is what it usually is, which I have no reason to believe it, it wouldn't be. Like, I think they're going to have a great defense. And the offense can put up 21 points on average. Some games it'll be 30. Other games it'll be 17. On average, if you're 21 points, you're going to win a lot of ball games in this conference.
Yeah, and we'll see. Mike Smith, Utah and BYU does not play. Now you're trolling. Utah was fantastic defensively, and BYU has been better every year defensively, and there's not even a question that this is Kalani's best defense. And Jay Hill is still your defensive coordinator, so I think you're probably trolling. Big 12 just going to lose their first playoff game again because exactly what Mike Smith is saying, no defense in the Big 12. Tell me you don't know a thing about the Big 12.
Yeah.
He was trolling. The eye patch, you know who can't even spell defense? West Virginia. Hilarious. I think he was not being serious. Relax. Gundy will upset 3 contenders this season. Every year they say that. The Hawaiian golfer. Morty is so unhinged with Oak State, it's hard to take him seriously. Okay, tell me what I'm unhinged about.
Yeah, what are we taking too far?
Has Oklahoma State significantly improved their roster? They have the 13th best odds in Vegas in the Big 12. 13th best odds.
Not the 3rd, the 13th. Like,
so their predicted record, they're predicted to improve 1 win this year, 4-8. So how am I unhinged? You have no quarterback. You are relying on a kid who's never taken a competitive snap of college football in Haas Hengy. Has Mike Gundy in the last 5 years developed an elite quarterback, including his own kid? He has not. So when you say, oh, I'm unhinged, tell me what I'm unhinged about. Tell me what I'm unhinged about. Has had 1 foot in a retirement pool the last couple of... Witt. No, he hasn't,
not. Dude.
Who is saying that, and what have you seen from him that would say that?
Yeah.
Have they stopped recruiting? Has he stopped traveling? Have they stopped winning? He's had 1 bad season. Back-to-back Pac-12 championships, 1 bad season. And when he had his 1 bad season, he completely changed the way he did business on offense. You brought in one of the most explosive offensive coordinators in Jason Beck and his quarterback. and you have clearly added wide receiver and running back depth.
See, this is what I love right here. Oklahoma State fans saying Utah's looking up to Oklahoma State.
Where do you see
lost right there? Your cursor's on it. Down,
this one?
No, down to Force Ghost Fabio.
No, well, who cares? Force Ghost Fabio doesn't even watch football. That's wild. So Utah. So I know that I don't know anything about football. Nothing. Where did Oak State finish in the Big 12 last year? Ahead of Utah, naturally ahead of Utah.
Well, of course they must be. I mean,
Oh wait, that's right. They didn't win a Big 12 game last year. They went 0-9 and
Hey, is
3-9 on the season. And wait, did Utah finish? I must be old. My eyes are. Utah finished 3 spots ahead of.
But I thought you said that Oklahoma State was, or Utah was looking up to Oklahoma State. And wait, jog my memory here.
I'm confused.
Didn't Utah go to Stillwater and beat that ass just like we said they would?
That can't be possible, Jake.
Right? On the turf that was like 110 degrees, and everyone said that they weren't going to be able to handle it, and Alan Bowman was going to shred them, all that, right? And Ollie Gordon was going to go off for 120 on him.
I'm kind of confused because Ollie Gordon only had 42 yards in that game. Best running back in the country, Heisman Trophy winner.
Drinks
Ollie
a little
Gordon.
bit too much, but he can really run.
But
the
he
football.
runs stairs.
Yeah,
to
right.
Burn off the alcohol.
Right.
And then remember Garrett Rangel, and he was 3 of 11, and Alan Bowman was 16 of 33, but he did throw 2 interceptions.
Huh. I mean, yeah, I guess we just misremember what
that
happened,
whole looking up thing.
Yeah, I know.
It's wild to me how delusional Oklahoma State fans are. Guys, where is Oak State James?
Don't know.
Exactly. Oak State and Utah were huge disappointments, massive disappointments last year, but seemed an anomaly for both. And the reason I disagree with that, if it's an anomaly for both, why is Oak State not improved? Their talent or their coaching staff? Did you, as Mike Gundy, took a pay cut? And again, I feel like we have to do this every day. What indication do you have that Oak State's better or on the right trajectory? You went and got another average-ass quarterback who has never done anything, and now Oak State fans are pushing him as the greatest thing since sliced Staubach's. And you hired old offensive and defensive coordinators. You lost Ollie Gordon. You have not gotten anybody in the portal. You lost your best player on both sides of the football to the portal. And one went to Oklahoma and the other went to Ole Miss. What am I missing? At Utah. So you went and got one of the most explosive offensive coordinators, one of the most explosive quarterbacks. Your offensive line is probably already one of the top 3 offensive lines in the country or in the conference, and you have the best right tackle in the country. Like, your defense is still unbelievable. It wasn't a bad defense last year. You just couldn't score. So you went and got one of the most explosive offenses in the country. I don't know. I just don't. I don't know anything about football.
Yeah,
that much is very clear. Tito's the name. Is Cam Rising playing year 15 next year? Not in a Utah uniform, right? It is what it is. And then Force Ghost Fabio can't get off of last year in Utah because you didn't win a fucking game in the Big 12.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about Utah. You didn't win. You went 0 in the Big 12. And you haven't improved. So you just keep letting Utah live in your skull rent-free. Damian Fowler. Nobody knows how Utah or Oak State so this year. Oak State, I so this year. Look how they did last year, and they were predicted a lot higher. Well, I think the best indicator of future activity is past performance. Kyle Whittingham has been in one of the best football conferences in the country in the Pac-12. Won back-to-back conference championships, went to back-to-back Rose Bowls.
Yep.
When has Oak State, and this is what I keep asking Oak State fans, when have you been a national championship contender?
Never.
When have you been at the top of your conference? And remember when you guys were running like, scared children from Oklahoma? Remember all that?
Remember when you said that you were going to dominate Texas in the Big 12 championship game?
Yeah. Their games are played on the field. Absolutely. And I don't think anybody on this show has picked Utah to win the conference. I still maintain that I think BYU and Arizona State are the two best teams in the conference, and I think Texas Tech is third.
Yeah.
On paper, where we are now before spring ball in January.
Yeah.
The best since sliced stool. There he is, Oak State James. Nope, I'm doing fine, doing much better physically too.
Good, dude.
But emotionally, you're wrecked
that.
because Oak State hasn't done a thing to help themselves. Which is good. Mike Smith, too much Buc-ee's hot dog water. Got to slow down on that, James. Bad for the butthole. James had significant portal action out of his butthole. And he openly talked about it on YouTube or whatever,
Twitter
machine and stuff. Brandon Butler, I will have Utah as my dark horse pick next year. I think if I had a dark horse pick in the Big 12, a team that was going to surprise people,
TCU. That offense is lethal. They just got to figure out the defense. And if they do that, because again, go look at TCU's ledger. TCU is capable of putting up 30, 40 points a week on offense.
Yeah, Josh Hoover is one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
The problem is you were
question.
giving up more points than you were able to score, even though you were scoring 40 points, 30 points. So
I would be surprised if Andy Avalos didn't figure it out defensively. I mean, I would be surprised at TCU. So I might agree with you.
Best dark horse candidate in the Big 12 is TCU.
Probably TCU.
I think, national, like for casuals who don't follow the Big 12, I think TCU is the ultimate dark horse. If you're a casual, like if you're someone who watches the Big 12 semi-regularly every other week, I think Kansas might be a nice candidate. Obviously Kansas made noise at the end of the season. I could see them, kind of putting some pieces together here. Maybe they get off to a little bit hotter of a start. But I think TCU has, everything they need to come out and be, an 8, 9, 10-win team at the top of the mountain.
Do you believe in Avery Johnson at K-State?
No.
It's the single biggest question.
I mean, again, you can't believe in Avery Johnson until he shows you that he's changed the way he plays the position. So it's not that he can't. I'm not saying I don't want Avery not to run. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I want Avery Johnson to be more like Will Howard. I want him to be, hey, I'm going to go through my progression. I'm going to have a pass first mindset. But then when the defense dictates to me that it's time to run and I see 20 yards of green pasture in front of me, I'm going to go and get that 20 yards because I can run and I am athletic and I do have speed.
But I think he needs to take the Retzloff route. Go and find a quarterback, a throwing guru.
Yeah.
Who can teach you what you see and to believe in what you see.
Yeah.
I just don't see that Avery Johnson's that guy. And you can't run at the volume that Avery Johnson runs and expect to be healthy and win.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, do I believe in him? I mean, I know he's capable of making the change. I know that he just like as an athlete, he's 100% capable. I mean, the guy has shown you enough in the throwing game that you can say, hey, like, yeah, I'd have to look up his completion percentage. I think he was in the low 60s if memory serves. But if he can become a quarterback that can just, reach to 65% completion, just be you don't have to be 72%. Be 65 plus and then work, RPO in the run game. They're going to be a tough offense to stop. But against the best teams, when you're talking about winning a conference championship, the best teams are not scared of Avery Johnson. They're not scared of what he has to offer. They're just not. And that needs to change.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Jeremy Bolton, good morning, sir. I have Utah Tech as my dark horse. Put him in.
OG reference, dude.
Put him in, dude. They've got
Bro.
the money. Did you guys see their facilities? That IPF is,
dude.
Even Feinbaum came to his senses. Redwine said, "I don't even know
About
what that
what?
means. I have no idea what that."
That's why we have Feinbaum.
Harry Austin. I think Colorado will be a dark horse pick. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what Jaheim Otis does at Colorado. Their defense has experience coming back. I'm more worried about not Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders leaving. Phil Lodeholt, their offensive line coach, leaving. Does Jordan Seaton continue to trend upward without Phil Lodeholt, who I think was a huge part of his build? We'll see. We shall see. Jake is exactly right. My wife and I were at the New Mexico Bowl. Here we go with bowl game performance.
Smiles and glory holes.
Go ahead.
TCU dominated Louisiana. Josh Hoover looked fantastic. Nobody gives.
That's great. He looked good, dude.
Neat.
Move along. There's nothing wrong with that, dude.
I consider myself a fairly educated fan, but Okie Light has never really made my radar. Never.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to be wrong about Oklahoma State.
I hope so.
If Oklahoma State and the mullet want to rip off 10 wins and shock the world, awesome, dude. I'll come and do a whole mea culpa but I am firmly in the camp of Mike Gundy is going to have to show the world that he actually knows how to recruit in modern day college football and knows how to use the portal properly. And that Oklahoma State as an athletic department is willing to spend money to get the talent they need to. I'm not saying they got to spend money on par with the big boys, but you got to spend some money in today's college football to be competitive.
Yeah, I agree. They need a gooner. Okay. Bradley Dunkel, remember when Monty said the Big 12 was a better conference than the Big 10? This past season, the Big 12 was a better, more competitive football conference than the Big 10.
Please,
I don't even think anybody is arguing that.
Educate me on how the Big 10 was a deeper conference than
It's
the Big
not.
12, dude.
This past season, it was not a better conference than the Big 12 was. Well, we won a national championship. Cool.
Not the conversation we're having, bro.
Really neat. How did that work out for Oregon? How did that work out for Penn State? Both those teams turned out to be doggy in the playoff.
Bro.
Indiana was a complete fraud. So again, I ask you, where does I think Colorado is probably top 5 teams in the Big Ten this
I would
past
say Colorado
season.
and Illinois were pretty level this season.
I think BYU, because of how good their secondary was and how good their wide receiver room was, Colorado's and BYU are probably both top 5 in the Big Ten. I think Arizona State, I don't know what I make of Arizona State. I don't know how good they were. I don't know the answer to that. I think Cam Skattebo was very difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
And you very rarely, again, I think Sam Levitt's going to have to really show me that he can step up, because you very rarely have a guy take that kind of volume on offense. You're not balanced. You're going to have to show us that you can move on from that scheme. Where it was Cam's out of the game. All right, 2-yard dump off underneath. Right. You're going to have to show us you can be dynamic.
I think Sam Levitt has a talent to do that, but I would agree that the offensive scheme last year was 100% surrounded or focused on Cam.
I simply continue to say that it is wild to me that Big Ten fans believe that their conference is better than the SEC, but their conference is better than the Big 12. Congratulations. You cheated your way to one championship and you legitimately dominated to another. Does that mean that you're a better conference top to bottom than the SEC? No. No, it does not. Because I think I could make a pretty compelling argument. Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, again, would be top 5 in the Big Ten.
Oh, certainly.
And if you're such a great conference, how does Tennessee walk in? How does Ole Miss? Because I still maintain that Ole Miss's defense would be the second best defense in that conference. in the Big Ten.
The question you're not getting away from as a Big Ten fan is if Ohio State played an SEC schedule, would they even be in the college football playoff?
Nope.
Because
would Ohio State, if they'd have played an SEC schedule, have won a national championship?
No, not a chance. Not a chance, dude. They would not have had a better season than Alabama had.
I think it's just very interesting that you have so many fans who can't take emotion out of it and analytically look at the Big Ten. And it's really the Big Ten versus the SEC, because I think the Big Ten and the Big 12 are both very average conferences this past season. I think the Big Ten, after portal and recruiting, on paper, the Big Ten is going to be probably a 16 league this year.
Yeah.
I think they are the talent influx that we've seen in the Big Ten is significant. But that's this coming year. This past year, the Big Ten was not deep. Indiana was a complete fraud.
Yeah.
Complete fraud. Remarkable that you went to South Bend and you got your ass beat.
Dominated by a one-sided football team.
And I continue to point at you, James Franklin. Is there anybody here who believes that Penn State was elite this year? They got SMU, Boise State, and then they got beat by Notre Dame. And why did they get beat? Drew Aller, day one draft pick, couldn't throw them to a victory when they needed it.
Awful decision to end the game.
If you just look at the SEC, and I don't care what order you want to put the top 10 teams in the SEC in. And if we just go, because most leagues, what are most leagues? 3 or 4 team leagues. Okay. Which one of these teams in the SEC does not win the Big Ten? Does, let's say, LSU, 9-4.
In the SEC.
Do they win the Big Ten?
Who were their losses?
LSU's losses this year were...
Obviously, the first loss was SC in Vegas.
In Vegas. Their losses this year were Texas A&M, Alabama, and Florida. Florida's a great example. Left for dead in September, dominating in November. With that schedule, you can't tell me they're not one of the top 4 teams in the Big Ten. Look at Ole Miss. I continue to tell you, Ole Miss, and you don't have to like it. Ole Miss was probably a top 5, probably top 3 defense in the entire country. Right? Bad losses across the board. You can't lose to Kentucky and you can't lose at Florida, even though, again, Florida is in November, and Florida was amazingly different in November, late October and November than they were in September. But you can't lose that game. And you certainly can't lose the game at Kentucky. You can understand, okay, Death Valley, nighttime, overtime. Okay, we lost 29-26. You can't lose the Kentucky game. Ole Miss would have been top 3 in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So we can just play this game all season.
Big Ten fan, if your argument is, oh, well, we had multiple teams in the playoff, then you're not having a proper conversation.
Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and LSU, all 5 of those teams probably would have won the Big Ten.
Yeah. Yep.
So, conundrum. Who in the Big Ten played number 1 and number 2 teams? What has that got to do with anything? Who in the Big 12 played the number 1 and number 2 teams? What has that got to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? Look top to bottom. You can't make the argument the Big Ten's the best, deepest league in the country. That's the SEC. And last year, anyway, we could go on and on. It's fine. BYU Natty next year. Again.
Hey, man. You do you, McKay.
You should probably stop taking hallucinogens this early in the morning.
Yeah. Probably should stop.
All right, let's switch gears. And real quick, I want to get a Super Bowl preview. Philadelphia. I can't just say their name. Philadelphia are the scumbag Kansas City Chiefs, Jake. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is this is a tough conversation. On paper, Philadelphia is better pretty much in every matchup. I outside of the quarterback position, you have to take Mahomes over Jalen Hurts. But other than that, Philadelphia has a ton of talent on the roster. Obviously Saquon is the best running back, and their running game is lethal. And it is clearly the best running attack Kansas City will have seen. So who do I have? I mean, you have to lean Chiefs just because, the officials are going to be a factor as usual. We've talked about it so much. But also, the Chiefs edged them last time, right? We remember the game 2 years ago where Kansas City winds up, pulling away in that game. So I think what's difficult about this matchup and what's going to catch a lot of people or people are going to get caught up on is that the Eagles' offense is potent this year. They're playing good football. The running game is working. The passing game is working. They were able to make adjustments against the Commanders early in the game when it was still a game to go ahead and open up the running game. And
Are you done yet?
No, I'm not done
The
yet.
officials are going to win the game for the
No,
Chiefs.
they're
Just
not.
say it.
No,
Just say it.
I'm not saying it.
Why?
Because it's
Stay
the
hard.
Super Bowl. I can't,
You really don't think that will happen?
I think, yes, there will be plays. Yes, there will. There will be conversation.
Okay.
But
you're going into this in-depth, quality, really decent breakdown of the Super Bowl, and you still haven't mentioned that the scumbag Kansas City Chiefs get all the calls.
He's got no class.
I agree. Patrick Mahomes and his sexual assaulting brother have no class. The scumbag Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll never say their name the right way. Never.
I don't know. I haven't allowed myself to really dig into the game. I'm not over the AFC Championship game yet. Still bothers me.
Yeah, I agree that the scumbag Kansas City Chiefs were handed that victory. I'm going to say it every day, and I can't wait. It's fine. Do you understand how weird Jackson Mahomes is, the brother of Patrick Mahomes?
Smiles and glory holes.
Like, that cat is weird. That is a strange dude.
He is.
Kale says, I think it'll be close. I would agree with that. I think it'll, main event. Talent means nothing. KC has the better coaching.
Well, I don't disagree with that. That's also a factor for sure.
That's fine. Old Tatanka. Refs win, so the cheats win. The scumbag Kansas City cheats. The scumbag Kansas City cheats. It's fine. Yeah, man, it's very strange. It is very strange. Which is fine. We'll see. All right. Let's reset. Let's get back to Jerry Jones, presented by our good friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the official daily fantasy partner of the Marty program. Use promo code Monty to get yourself a amazing Super Bowl promo. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more instantly. And I would like to remind you that Patrick Mahomes is the big game free pick at Prize Picks. Half a yard passing.
Mm-hmm.
1/2 of an entire yard passing.
Probably not.
More or less. And that Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback of the scumbag Kansas City Chiefs, he is the free pick. If you follow my formula to win, which you should, you make a 3-pick selection on a flex play. What does that mean? You're going to take Patrick Mahomes and 2 other dudes in the Super Bowl. You're going to flex play that, which means you only have to get 2 out of 3. Well, that scumbag Kansas City Chiefs quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, whose brother is a sexual assaulter, will complete a pass for more than a yard. Now you only got to get 1 out of 2 right. It's so easy to win. Prize Picks, download the app. Take the free pick on scumbag Kansas City Chiefs quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, whose brother is a sexual assaulter.
Stay hard.
I feel like that's the entire sentence. It feels a little long to me. Scumbag Kansas City Chiefs quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, comma, whose brother is a sexual assaulter. He's the free play at Prize Picks for the big game. I do what I can do. You know why Mahomes wears 15? As a reminder to the refs of what to flag for when the defender breathes on him. Yes. That's exactly right. Kansas City will bundle and save. Okay. Kale, the bigger question is, why does the NFL choose the cheats for this, and why do they like it? Why do they do it like this? I don't know.
Because they want a dynasty in the NFL at all times.
I think that's probably true. Kale also says, scumbag Kansas City Chiefs playing at Arrowhead Gayha Field.
Stay hard.
You're not wrong.
Arrowhead.
He keeps insulting Kansas City. I'm out. Okay. The scumbag Kansas City cheats, where barbecue is highly overrated. You know, which is fine. Bradley Dunkel, prop bet Jackson gets arrested.
Prop bet Jackson
gets arrested. Yeah, UW fan Jim, I hit the like button despite your delusional take on the Big Ten and the SEC. Okay.
Thanks, man. Way to do your job.
Yeah,
today.
Please do hit the like button. We have had well over 2,500 views today, and we're only at 54 likes. Got to be better than that, boys. Hit the like button, please. If you are watching on
trying to get to 100, man.
Spotify, X, Facebook, TikTok, please come over to YouTube. Just do a Google search, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. Find us on YouTube, hit subscribe, and give us a like. It really helps the channel grow. Delaric, the reason they want the cheats is because Jerry tried to get Roger G fired. Could be.
Yeah, right. Why aren't they doing this for the Cowboys?
Funny you bring up Jerry and the Cowboys.
And the Skeeters.
If you're just tuning in this morning, the main question of the day was, what is Jerry Jones doing? And I bring to you the unfiltered, unadulterated takes of that old guy, Jerry, talking about hiring Brian Schottenheimer.
Hey, Shotty.
To be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Note the, what would you call this? Note the guest starring appearance from Dak Prescott.
Now, I get my proverbial ass kicked over needing people in my comfort zone. Without this thing being about me in any way, if you don't think I can't operate out of my comfort zone, you're so wrong. It's unbelievable. This is as big a risk as you could take. As big a risk as you could take. No head coaching experience. Now, let me share something with you. With all of that, you've just heard him reference his osmosis, his family. Anybody in this room that doesn't believe the apple doesn't go far from the tree has missed it someplace down the road. Especially if there was an effort to make it that way, and there was an effort. But then you go around to the countless numbers of coaches that Shotty has served on staff with and been around, the countless players. How often do you have someone that has 25, I'm going to say 25, it may be 26, of years of working through the human relationship and working, aspiring to learn, of have his ears and eyes wide open and looking for techniques and looking for things that make coaches better.
So why hasn't he gotten a job then as a head coach after all these years? And why is it the biggest risk you can take hiring good old Shotty?
And why should we give you a golden sticker for hiring Shotty and getting out of your comfort zone, allegedly?
Will this team ever win a Super Bowl championship with Jerry Jones as the controlling partner of the Dallas Cowboys? I just don't see how. When you make the argument that you took a massive risk and hired a guy, well, hiring a coach with no experience, my God. And then you end your quote by saying, you don't think the experience of him watching other coaches do it matters? No, I don't. Because he's interviewed for a ton of jobs and nobody hired him.
Yeah, in the irony here is I don't feel like you took a big risk. You hired... Here's what I don't understand. You fired Pork Chop, right? You fired Fathead. And then you hired a guy that was on his staff. Like, what sense does that make? You are what Jerry Jones is doing here is trying to spin this thing so tight and go off in so many different directions that the media and everybody trying to keep up gets away from the fact that you fired a guy just to hire the guy right below him.
And it's, quote, as big a risk as you can take with him sitting right next to you. As big a risk as you can take, bro. Hiring this POS coach.
Let me talk about this without talking about making it about me.
Let me admit that we made a huge mistake in handling Mike McCarthy. Let me admit we made a huge mistake in not getting Deion Sanders or any of the other best coaching candidates by saying as big a risk as you can take hiring this POS right here.
Now, I know he's no Liam Cohen, but he's still a big risk.
Who we're going to get to. But how can we not play this bit of awesomeness from Jerry Jones?
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes. Very low percentage.
What does that mean? Help me understand. Why did you say that? Because that's an intentional line. Like saying smiles and glory holes is not an accident, dude.
Yes. Is this episode 26 of Tales from the Crypt?
Right? Like,
what? Conundrum says, so Jerry was looking to hire a psychiatrist. Apparently, Brandon Butler. This is a really nice Pinto. We put a blower on it. Exactly right.
What?
Like, what are you guys? Like, what is he doing? I've never understood it. I have never understood it from the jump.
Smiles and glory holes.
I will never understand it. I just. Lopes fan Gabe, the only thing worse than Patrick Mahomes' weirdo brother are people who announce they are leaving a digital interaction like we give a damn. Sorry, buddy. Right? Like what? I don't know, man. I think it is very interesting that this is who Jerry Jones has become.
And I just don't understand like why it always has to be this just weird stuff that he says. Like why? Like you can't just give me coach speak. You can't just give me like at this press conference when Shoddy is sitting right next to him. You can't just give me the standard BS line of like, hey, we went through the process. We interviewed a lot of guys. We really appreciate Pork Chop's contribution to the organization and
Pork Chop.
and we felt like Shoddy was the best candidate for what we need out of somebody.
We did an exhaustive search. And through all of those conversations, Brian Schottenheimer showed himself to be the most capable, ready coach to lead the Dallas Cowboys to a Super Bowl championship. That's why we hired him. He's a quality man with a good bloodline. He's been around the best head coaches in the game. He's ready to take that step in his career, and we're lucky to have him as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
By the way, quick pause. Is that what you meant when you said his osmosis, Jerry? Is that what that was supposed to mean?
It's wild to me.
Like, that's why I consistently die on the hill of Jerry Jones. All he cares about is being the center of attention. That's it. Like, I just don't know what other conclusion that you can come up with the things that he says. Like, would you ever say something like that? Like, you're going to go and do a media hit. And did he say to himself, he's going to just work in smiles and glory holes? Like it's like he's thought to himself, oh, well, we're playing bingo back in the office with the boys. And, today's challenge was to work in smiles and glory holes.
Like we've done this before.
Yeah.
On a show where I have to ask Gloria Navarez if there's enough butter for all the toast.
Yeah. Like, is that
remember
what he's
that
doing?
back in the day? This has
smiles
to be what he's doing.
And glory holes.
It has to be what he's doing. That's all I can imagine.
I don't know what else it could be, dude.
Which is what I always say about Calford gifting 20 Monty Show members.
Let's go, buddy.
Let's go, Calford. Good to see you, my friend. Always appreciate you being here. Yeah, I have no idea.
It's bad, dude.
I have no idea. Smash the numbers. Hot take. Aaron Glenn will be a better head coach than Ben Johnson. Something about his demeanor tells me he's not just a tactician. I don't disagree with you. You look at Aaron Glenn yesterday. The way he handled the Aaron Rodgers water, which is deep and full of sharks. I think this is a legitimate question. Should the New York Jets bring back Aaron Rodgers?
Will Aaron Rodgers be your quarterback?
He's not putting up with the New York media.
Smiles and glory holes.
Not hearing that out of Aaron Glenn, are you?
This is a guy who played in New York. Huge personalities have shaped him as a football man and a human being. And he's not here for your game playing. And I think that yesterday, when the New York Jets were introducing Aaron Glenn, not only did Aaron Glenn handle the Aaron Rodgers question perfectly, shockingly, so did New York Jets owner Woody Johnson.
Personal feeling about Aaron Rodgers' return.
I'm going to leave that to them. You know, they've got to take a look at how the team's composed and what they think they need and put all that together.
Woody, would you welcome Aaron Rodgers back if your coach and general manager would like to go that route?
Absolutely. Yeah, if he wants him, if they want him back, Aaron's a talent for sure. He's a Hall of Famer.
Will you voice your opinion on that, Woody, or is it really just on specific?
No, I'm not going to voice my opinion. Okay. No, that's up to them.
It's not my decision. If my guys in leadership want him back, they can have him back. Aaron's a Hall of Famer. You could not have scripted that better.
On to Cincinnati.
They crushed it. He did. Does he not sound a little bit like I'm focused on Cleveland?
Personal feeling about Aaron Rodgers' return.
I'm going to leave that to them. You know,
we're really focused on Philadelphia right now.
We're focused on Cleveland.
Yeah, we're focused on the Jets today.
We're on to Cincinnati.
We're on to Cincinnati.
How very Belichick of Woody Johnson.
Yeah, nice
right?
hoodie vibes.
But they nailed it.
Yeah.
Which is not at all what happened in Jacksonville.
Okay, I have to ask this question. Jerry Jones made an absolute buffoon of himself yesterday again. And you'd have thought that, hey, it's Jerry Jones, like, not shocking. He's going to lead the news cycle for the dumb things he says. But no. Shad Khan, the Jacksonville Jaguars, would not be outdone by smiles and glory holes in Dallas. They would not be outdone by that, smoke show.
Listen to how inauthentic and full of BS Liam Cohn, the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is. Remember how he got this job, and then listen to this, buddy.
That's really what this is going to come down to, is honesty. I want to surround ourselves with people that are going to be able to tell you hard truths, be able to show you your blind spots, because that's really, like I mentioned, where growth occurs, when you can truly be yourself and be honest with looking in the mirror, knowing that process to get you there was clean and it was right, and the results will speak for themselves.
Oh.
So you want to look in the mirror and tell me the process is clean and we did it right.
Don't lie to me.
So when you withdrew your name from the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching search because you didn't like Trent Baalke, and then you went back to Tampa and agreed to the largest contract for a coordinator in the history of the NFL, only to answer Shad Khan's phone call and say, I'm not coming because I don't like the general manager. And Shad Khan says, I'll fire him if you take the job. And you say, okay, I'll take the job. And then you walk out on that contract you signed at Tampa, only after backstabbing Trent Baalke to have your press conference where you said that we're going to be honest and we're going to surround ourselves not with yes men, but people who will help me do it right. And you are just illustrating how through and through you're 100% Duval. No, Jerry did not win yesterday. Shad Khan won yesterday.
Like, how did you accomplish this, dude?
What? That has got to be the worst press conference I have. Duval.
Legitimately, play the smiles and glory hole, then play the Duval, and you guys tell me which one is more cringe out of these two.
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes. Very low percentage.
Duval. Like, come on, dude.
It's way worse in Jacksonville. It's way worse in
God.
Jacksonville.
Like,
Way worse.
And I feel foolish being surprised, right? Like Jacksonville is the epitome of an organization that nobody talks about, and then there's like a blip on the radar when the hiring cycle happens, or when Aziz Al-Shaair ended Five Head or whatever. But at some point, dude, you have to sell the team or get this right. At some point.
And listen, I think we've seen it all from Jerry. So we will occasionally, there are a bunch of deepfakes that go around. Jake sent me a video yesterday that I refused to play on the show.
They really hit me.
The AI deepfakes of Jerry Jones are amazing. But are you telling me that this is not an AI deepfake?
Duval.
No, that's real.
Now play the AI deepfake right above it.
I don't want to. Do we have to?
No, you don't have to. It's your show. It's the Monty program.
Fired Mike McCarthy because he looks like a f***ing pork chop. And I hate that big-ass play call sheet he holds during games. We all know it's a Perkins menu. I'm not even sure we need a coach. Hell, maybe we already have a coach in mind. Maybe he's sitting right in front of you, half drunk on Johnny Walker Blue with only an Egg McMuffin in his belly and a pocket full of Dinger pills. Maybe he's 82 years old and needs his ass wiped from time to time, depending on how much Salisbury steak he's ate. Look, I'm going to do things my way, and my way is f***ing terrible. But if you don't like it, then tough titty said the kitty, but the milk kept coming. Listen, I'm never going to die, motherfuckers. I drink 8 ounces of hog's blood every day, and I'm a vampire feeding off mass disappointment.
Dude.
Tough titties said the kitty, but the milk's still coming.
Oh, man, dude. The NFL never ceases to disappoint.
If he hadn't said the smiles and glory hole line, you'd have been like, okay,
smiles and glory holes.
That was real. The smiles and
that
glory
was
hole
an AI
was
deep
real.
fake.
I don't know. And you just wonder why the NFL is the NFL.
Yeah.
And I would just like to point out the Chicago Bears avoided all of these potholes. Even with an awkward Ben Johnson press conference, we got away clean. I'd like to thank Jera and Shad Khan for being absolute buffoons and clowns, because you kept my Chicago Bears clean.
Yep.
And yeah, it is. That deep fake, the one that Jake sent me last night,
is vicious, dude. It's not show appropriate. It is vicious.
There are so many out there that are. Yes, Travis. Glory holes will live forever.
Smiles and glory holes.
In the Southern twang just makes the line. Like
I don't even. What do you even? How do you what did you mean, glory holes? How do you say that word?
Smiles and glory holes.
Bro, circumcised and skaters at the glory hole.
Apparently.
What does that even mean?
He's got no class.
I give up. It is amazing. And Jerry makes it all possible.
Yeah.
Kim Coulter saw that video of Jerry a few weeks ago. All-time classic.
Dude. Yeah.
All-time classic.
Yeah. It
really, really is. All right. Before we get out of here, can we talk about the best fast food burgers? So you guys know old Captain Fat Ass over here. I don't eat fast food almost ever. I almost never eat red meat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm flipping around looking for non-sports food topics to talk about. It's our favorite one. It's what we like to do. And I come across this ranking of the Burger Guru. He ranks his top 10 fast food burgers. You don't need to know the other ones. His top 3 are In-N-Out Double-Double, number 1.
Bruh.
Wendy's, number 2. And Five Guys, 3rd. I swear to you, if you take a double over a Five Guys double burger, you're dead.
You are
to
dumb.
Me. You are dead to me. Listen, I've had way too many burgers in my life. Can I explain to you the depths of overrated that In-N-Out is? The fries, come on, we're talking about cold spaghetti. That's what their French fries are. But the burger itself, it's good. It's not elite. It's not. Five Guys is the best burger in the business. I would take Wendy's over In-N-Out. I would the Dave's double over a double every single day. Am I wrong in saying that In-N-Out is completely overrated?
No, I don't think you're wrong saying it's overrated. I do like their burger. I don't like it more than Five Guys' burger, but I do like their burger.
It's so overrated.
Yeah.
In-N-Out.
In-N-Out's burger. Not In-N-Out is overrated. Their fries are terrible.
Terrible.
Their
shakes are terrible.
The shake is just too sweet for me. You know, I've had it a few times. It's just too sugary for me. And the hard part with In-N-Out too, and this is something that I feel like never gets talked about, the lemonade you get at In-N-Out is just full sugar lemonade. They don't offer Minute Maid light lemonade, and that's what I actually really like. And Five Guys does offer it, and so that makes a difference when you're eating your burger and you can enjoy a nice lemonade with it. That makes a difference for me, you know.
If Five Guys is elite,
and the fries at Five Guys, you know, the thing that Five Guys has over everybody is the portions. They do not go short or skimp on portions at all.
Travis says Five Guys isn't fast food.
Yes, it is, dude. Well, okay, so what is fast food then?
Well, they don't offer drive-thrus. You have to walk into Five Guys.
Right, but it's called fast casual. It's still fast food, bro. Like, if you want to say there's a delineation, okay, I guess.
Their burgers are cooked on flat tops.
So are In-N-Outs.
Their fries are fried in oil. Like, I think it is fast food. It's just a little higher cut.
Yeah.
It is the Shake Shack.
Yeah.
Fast food, just a little higher cut. You know. It's fine. Monty Ballin was the Chrysler Cordoba. My parents had a Cordoba when I was a kid. You know. Kale, if I hear Burger King, I'm going to flip out. Hey, man, the double cheeseburger at Burger King, you could do worse. Love Five Guys. It's not fast food. Okay. The same type of people that eat a delicious steak with ketchup. Okay. Talking with Raphael podcast.
Well,
Raphael, good to see you.
Dude, where have you been?
In-N-Out is overrated. Thank you. Always a quality conversation. Mike Smith, just bring back memories as my pops bought one. Oh, yes. The Chrysler Cordoba, man. Double animal style is legit. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is In-N-Out is like this. Oh, my God. Whoa, orgasmic. No, it's not.
Smiles and glory holes.
Oh, Fat Burger or Dairy Queen?
Nah.
Best burger is Culver's.
Yeah, I know that Culver's has a following.
No, main event, raise the bar. I know if it's not on your face or all over the place.
Wow, you just said that.
You know, Jeremy Bolton, I eat Five Guys if I didn't have to sell one of my children to pay for it. Dude, it's expensive. But isn't all fast food now really dumb expensive?
Yes. Even if you do get a Pokemon card.
In-N-Out is basically McDonald's. Fat Burger was the best burger. Okay, there's two for Fat Burger. Gigatti. Five Guys doesn't skimp on portions or what they charge you. They're expensive. They are. Damian Fowler. Well, Jake, usually when it's In-N-Out, it's hard.
Stay hard.
Okay.
Is that supposed to be a Spank Bank reference or what? Like, what are we doing?
I don't.
Like, what, Damien, what is
That's
that?
That's going to be $1,000 fine there, sir.
Yeah, dude.
Delaric, what a burger, sweet and spicy burger, bacon burger with a Dr. Pepper shake and Five Guys is not fast food in my opinion, but it's really good.
Okay,
though, dude.
What is fast food then? A lot of you guys are saying Five Guys is not fast food. Is Five Guys like a luxury dining experience?
It's expensive. For two people to go to Five Guys, you're spending $30.
Yeah.
Easy, minimum.
But does that mean it's not fast food? Like Five Guys and Chipotle are the same level of food. One's just much healthier. Like they're two different segments, right? Like
Yeah, Steely. Five Guys is very good. Steak and Shake. Oh, Steak and Shake is legit. And Midwest brand, but Steak and Shake is legit.
I'm really curious. What do you categorize Five Guys as then? Is that so like Five Guys isn't considered fast food? What is it considered then?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, is Five Guys on the same level as Red Robin?
Ooh, Carl's and Hardee's Frisco Burger. Not the best, but tasty. Yes, good. That double cheeseburger at Burger King.
Yeah.
Not elite. When I ain't kicking that out of bed, boy. Travis, prices at Five Guys have gone insane. Keeps me from going just grill burgers at home now.
Well, okay, that's a different conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great point. I'm saying In and Out is bad. Okay, good. Eye patch. Oh no, we have a burger elitist in the chat. Burger Lounge. Well, Burger Lounge is good. I've only been once, but again,
is there one here?
I don't think there's one here.
Yeah.
The next one, the one next to Costco and Carlsbad is the best. They even have a wild Alaskan cod burger. Oh, cod burgers are so good. They're so good. UW fan Jim. When you're in Seattle, try Dickey's Drive-In. I'll be there
Dickey's.
in 3 weeks. Great chain, and they are good to their workers.
Oh, excuse me. It's not Dickey's. It's Dick's.
Dick's Drive-In. And he drives it in.
Smiles.
I'm a bad person. I don't even. Super Deluxe, Burger Lounge, Habit Burger, ask for, well done. Habit has closed a lot of stores, dude. Fast food needs a drive-through? Could be.
But that's what I'm saying. So, like, because it doesn't have a drive-through, that means it's not fast food? Is that what
Well, that's
we're
what
saying?
Travis is saying. Five Guys and Chipotle are fast casual. Fast food is drive-through. Okay, so it has to be a drive-through then. Jack in the Box is the best drive-through burger.
Agreed. I would go Jack, Wendy's.
Yes, I remember A&W. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hires Big H.
So good, dude.
Five Guys is equal to Chipotle. I agree. Five Guys is like a dinner experience. Well, you're going to pay for the Ruth's Chris burger, you know.
Yeah.
I was just saying. Steely, Habit Burger is good, not on East Coast. Not on the East Coast. Jeremy, you haven't had a burger until you've had a Hires Big H burger.
That's facts,
love
bro.
it.
And
Love
their
it.
shake game is crazy.
Yep. Giggity. The Whataburger green chili burger is up there. Whataburger's good. I'm telling you.
Hey,
I know
need
you
to
don't
give
like
I need to give it another chance, no doubt. Yeah.
I agree 100%. Jack in the Box reigns supreme. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Dick's has no drive-through.
Okay, dude.
Dick's
This
Sporting
is
Goods?
a family program, dude.
Macaque.
Ferris Khan, I do miss Culver's. Good hamburger for sure. Culver's is good.
Yeah, see, but I'm not a hamburger guy. I'm a cheeseburger guy.
Blake's Lotta Burger is awesome, but you have to travel to New Mexico to get it. Okay. They have a Blake's Lotta Burger in Tucson. They do, really. Okay. I can get down with that. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Where are we at here? Only 63 likes. Come on. Be better. The Monty Show is always presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business. Where you never reach into your pocket to pay the Advocates. You don't pay the Advocates unless and until they win their case. Theadvocates.com, where you can shop with an injury attorney 24/7, 365. And it won't cost you a dime. Probably won't leave with Ohio State tomorrow unless Jake forces me to. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Jack in the Box is king. Say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.